because you are eating from the comfort of your homes, you are enjoying living, you think say you want war or you crave for war is something that is good. If you are someone that preaches war, then what I will urge you is to go and seek for Sudanese visa immediately and go there and enjoy it just for a day so that you will know that indeed you are in for war. At this stage, I would urge General Dagalo, who is the commander of the RSF, together with General Burham, who is the commander of the regular army, to think about the future of the Sudanese people, to think about the children, to think about the women. And for the sake of succession, for the sake of a country called Sudan, sit down and then iron out whatever differences they have. I know Saudi Arabia and the U.S. brokered some ceasefire deal with them. I believe they have to enforce it and know that they are first and foremost Sudanese. We in Ghana will not come to Sudan and solve this problem for them. It is for them to solve their own problems. And you cannot sacrifice blood to perpetuate your own parochial interests. It is not good as we speak. If it was going to be their own family members dying or being displaced, then I will not have a problem, because then you brought it upon yourself. But innocent souls, I can assure you that General Burham and General Hamiti, their families are safe. They are somewhere in Dubai chilling. And you are using innocent lives and souls as proxy to fight for your own interests. It's not good. Innocent humanitarian workers and health workers, about 16 have died. 8 health workers and 8 UN staff have died. Why must they die? Because you want to bring somebody to power. It's not good. Africa, what is killing them is poverty. If there is any fight that the two must wage a battle on, is our poverty situation. It's how to improve the lot of the people of Sudan. If you go to the UAE, especially Abu Dhabi and Dubai, about 80% of the police force there are Sudanese. They are leaving their country and building other countries. They could have done so back home, but because you have created that instability in that country, it does not allow well-meaning Sudanese to be, as it were, performing their roles back home. Now you talk about the surrounding countries. It's nothing to write home about from Egypt. Egypt currently is also facing the serious economic challenges. If you go to Eritrea, it's worse. South Sudan, nothing to write home about. Chad, another problem. So where would they go? They should think about this and cease fire and give peace a chance.
Right, thank you so much. Let me turn my attention to you, Prince Mabu. Let me pick your thoughts on happenings in Sudan.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bless. I think I'll equally use this opportunity to say a very good morning to our cherished viewers across the country and beyond, most especially my people in the Upper West region and my brother Solo. Normally, it's a worrying situation, and I remember growing up, anytime I watch news and it gets to international news, it's always fight about either Sudan or Liberia or this. So at a point, I thought that all what was happening there was just fight. This Sudanese conflict thing is an age-old conflict. If my checks will serve me right, I think the first civil war they had was somewhere 1955, and we traveled up to 1972 thereabout. The second one, which is on record to have been the longest, is I think it started somewhere 83 and ended just recently 2005. So Sudan has always been in the news for the wrong reason, which is quite unfortunate. Fast forward to the current happenings and what we are witnessing today in Sudan again as another eruption, when in fact we thought that we were now having a peaceful Sudan to take off. Politics came in and it is now getting worse again. Solo has given what I think is possibly the immediate causes. But I think on this same show some months back, I did indicate, I didn't want to discuss about elections in one of these African countries. And I said that if you check in history, conflicts that are difficult to manage, conflicts that looked unending, normally are caused by tribe and religion. These types of conflicts are very difficult, if not impossible, to manage. Because these two are very sensitive matters when it comes to human development. It's very sensitive. And nobody will want to give up on tribe, nobody will want to give up on religion and those things. If you read about the conflict of Sudan, it will predate. I mean, what brought this division will predate even to their colonial masters era, trade and all those things. Like Solo said, it is not any palatable thing to always discuss. At the end of the day, it's about supremacy, especially in what is currently happening. It's about supremacy in the army of Sudan. But we have been failing ourselves and continuously fail ourselves as Africans. We care very little about what we will do and it will prosper the entirety of our countries. We rather concentrate on what will let me be prince, what will let me be blessed, what will let me be solo, at the detriment of the millions of people that we are governing. So I think that as young people, we should begin to see things in a different way, taking into consideration the general benefit that society will derive from your leadership. That is what should preoccupy our minds as young people, so that we don't have the situation whereby people will personalize whatever position they find themselves in. Like this narration Solo gave, what sense does it make? Ultimately trying to fight and bring back a group that did not enjoy any popularity in good, I mean in positive terms. No. What is the essence? What do you stand to gain? Are you getting the point? There are millions of Sudanese that really don't care about what you are using as the reason to generate the civil war. That war that is taking lives and property and displacing millions of people. They really don't care. What they are worried about, what they seek to even put their mind on is how to feed themselves and survive on their basic needs as a people. For all you know, I mean, this cannot be speculations again, because if their people were directly involved in the negatives of the civil war, they will stop. But they are doing that because their people are comfortable somewhere and they are using innocent souls to, you know, perpetuate these crimes that they are. The unfortunate thing, however, too, is the interest of the foreign. I mean, their diaspora support system, because in all these things, interest of the diaspora also always come to play. Egypt has played a critical role, whether it's positive or negative, maybe in some cases both, in what is happening in Sudan. Today, Egypt themselves, they are struggling to find, I mean, a very comfortable ground for themselves, but they've already caused that havoc they would have in Sudan. So I think that those far and acting near should equally have a second look at it and have Sudan, ultimately, the interests of Sudan ultimately at heart.
Mm. Yeah. Right, thank you so much, Prince Mahmoud. You too can share your thoughts with us. Let us proceed to our next topic. Let me remind you that our Facebook stream is on. We are live at facebook.com/Pan-African Television. Do what to send in your thoughts. Send me your messages. Let me know what you think. Still to come, Alan is who Ghanaians are waiting for to lead the country. Peter Mewu. Government reviews feeding grant for school feeding program from 1 cedi to 1 Ghana cedi 20 per Swiss. Kumewu by-election heats up as NPP presents candidates.
I say Asen.
Asen North. I beg your pardon. Not Kumewu. Asen North. Asen North. Kumo election is actually done. So Asin North 27th of June 2023. So Asin North election heats up as MPP presents candidates. So right, these are the topics that are still to come. But let's look at our next topic for discussion. And I'm so happy for the very fact that I have Solomon Owusu here, and ostensibly he's going to be starting the conversation on who is next to lead. Well, this is actually a surprise to me for a member of parliament actually to say that, to show his face. And I know a couple of them anyway. I know the honorable member of parliament for Anyaso Utum constituency. He was here last week, and he spoke fondly of Honorable Alan John Kojuchem. I think he's one of the people who is staunchly supporting him. I know for a fact, and Solo won't deny this, that there appears to be a whip system in the New Patriotic Party to garner support for the vice president. I don't know if that is not the case, but from what I've seen and from what I hear, that appears to be the case. So to have people like Honorable Peter Amel, who is the member of parliament for Owe, the Anyanso Utum member of parliament, and a few others who have decided that no, they are not going to kowtow to the demands of the party or the government, I should say, not the party, but the government to support the vice president. And they have decided that, look, it is Alan John Kojuchem, I think that we are going to go with. That must be some tough decision. And I've heard commentaries aside by people that if it doesn't turn out so, going into the primaries in 2024, these people could suffer. Your thoughts, sir, Mr. Owusu?
Well, Bless, in 153 days' time, Alan will be your flag bearer. From today to the 4th of November is 153 days. And all the patrons in the MPP, those that suffered with this party from its inception, that is on the 28th of July 1992, that knows this party very well, who are not deceived with sloganeering and so on and so forth, knows that definitely Alan is the one who take over from Nanado as the flag bearer of the party. And I wasn't surprised to see Mr. Amewu make this statement in whole over the weekend. You see, over the weekend, Mr. Alan Tremantin went to a funeral, attended a funeral at that is the regional chairman's wife's funeral, and the support by the people of Volta region was so massive. Let me use this opportunity to thank the people of Volta region, particularly Ho, for their massive show of love and support to Alan Tremantin. This is it's not out of the blue. Ever since Mr. Tremantin started his political activities since 2007 that he wanted to lead the party, one of the regions that he has enjoyed massive support is the Volta region. And even when all seemed not to favor him in 2014, he still garnered massive amounts of votes in the Volta region. And so it is very clear. Now, why would Mr. Amewu narrow it to the headline that you just read, that the only person in the MPP that Ghanaians are waiting for to vote for is Alan Tremantin? Because you see, Ghanaians are gradually moving away from politics of no plan, no vision, to politics of bring your plan and let us interrogate it so that we know whether or not it will stand the test of time. So far, 11 candidates have picked nomination forms. And as an MPP, as a political party, we are not only going to elect a candidate that will suit the agenda of the MPP. In fact, the critical consideration in electing who leads the MPP is the one that will appeal to people outside the New Patriotic Party. Don't forget, the Constitution says you need 50+1 to become the president of the land. So if you are going to elect someone to lead the MPP, it's not someone that will give you 50% votes. It is 50+1. And that +1 will be across the aisle, across the political divide. So the 11 people that have so far picked their nomination forms, The question you ask yourself is, whom among themselves, among the lot, will be able to get us the 50 plus 1? I have done, taking a casual look at all of them, and I can say without any shred of doubt that Alan stands tall. Alan stands tall because, as we speak, he is the only candidate in this country, be it the MPP, NDC, PNC, CPP, and so on and so forth, that has been able to put forward this plan, the great transformational plan. Every day in and day out, what has the youth of this country been crying for? It's jobs. Look, if the teeming youth of this country are going to get employment, this always hula baloo would stop. Because they say the devil finds work for the idle hand. If the person is working, why would he have time for unnecessary things, unnecessary fightings? The job will occupy him or her. If the young ladies in this country are having work, do you think that a young girl will travel all the way to a Nigerian friend to be stabbed? She will be busy. You wouldn't find them prostituting her on our streets just like that, because they need job to survive. And he has provided the country a plan as far back as January. And you know, this country is a country that people critique people's work. I am yet to find any critique of that plan that points to a negative direction. And so for that, to that extent, I believe that the plan that he put forward is what the country needs. He's talking about the new agricultural revolution, that this country must harness its agricultural potentials so that we can produce more. And once we produce more, then we can feed our people and then make sure that food prices are very low. He's talking about to establish the macroeconomic environment, where we need to bring interest rate down, inflation down, increase our external reserves, and so on and so forth. He is talking about industrialization. When you have improved agriculture, the raw materials that comes out, you are not supposed to sell it in its raw form or allow it to rot, but rather convert it into finished product. So you back it with industrialization. He is suggesting that indeed one of the problems that farmers face in this country is how to sell their products. That in its time, there will be established distribution outfits that individuals are going to be empowered through state funding to be able to buy products from market farmers in the hinterland, thereby reducing post-harvest losses. He is advocating that indeed he would run a very lean government, downsizing of government. What have we been talking about? And he said this in January. And he said it is going to be on all aspects of governance that he will reduce the size of government. I wasn't surprised when former President John Mahama had the opportunity in Tamale. He made reference to him reducing the size of ministers to 60. Though I believe that 60 is still on the high side. If you are bringing 60 ministers, it's still on the high side. We don't have to, this is a country not more than 33 million personalities. And so our ministers must not be 60. You understand? And so these are laudable ideas, and he has shown how we can achieve that. He has told us that to be able to achieve all these plans and programs that he's talking about, first of all, we must make the private sector as the engine of growth. And the data suggests that that is what we must focus on. See, as a country, the public sector employs only 700,000 people. That's not the case. But as we speak, we have close to 16 million Ghanaians working. So what it tells you is that close to 15.3 million Ghanaians have been employed by the private sector. So why would any government focus on the public sector when it is the private sector that is employing the chunk of the population? So Mr. Chemanti says, to be able to achieve near full employment, we must make the private sector a pivotal aspect of our governance. Again, you must not encourage laziness. People lazy about in this country too much. They go to work instead of doing the right thing. They go and hide files and then they are on their phones. TikToking and then WeChatting and then snapping and so on and so forth, when there is work to be done. He's talking about arrogance of power in a situation where people get the opportunity to lead the country and they want to lord onto the people the very power that has been given to them by the people. But he's not going to countenance that. Now, if we are able to reduce that and behave as servants, as political leaders, we are supposed to be servants to the masses. It's going to help us. And he talks about no action, talk only. Remember the popular phrase of Leto. But we seem to be talking too much. When there is work to be done, do the work. Let your work speak for you. And divisive politics. Look, I have had my own share as an individual for appearing on platforms that people perceive to be NDC platforms. I have had my own shares. To the extent that the last time we went to Bato to go and do Alaji and Alaji, you see, we have small minds, especially the young ones that are coming out of politics. They are small minds. We need to retrain them. We need to redirect their energies, else this country has no future. Now, before the program, there was a presentation like that we all stood there. Yeah. So apparently, Ablakwa,
Mr. Pratt.
Yes, and just took the picture. So Ablakwa posted those pictures on, I didn't even know, on his wall. Now you know we have an internal contest. Alan versus Baumia. But let me assure all Baumia supporters that I will be surprised to see the vice president getting 25% of the votes. I will be very surprised in this MPP. Take it from me, quote me, today is the fate of doom. I will be very surprised. Because I have lived with this MPP. And I know how when people are deceiving you, how they behave. They said, Baumia supporters go on their platform. You know, they took those pictures. And then we wrote a propaganda piece that since Olobonosu, an NDC spy in the midst of MDP, who is projecting Alan, and so that was, I looked at them, and that young man who is doing that together with their team, I looked at them and said, see, I don't have a problem, because me, before I take a decision, I would have analyzed the trend through. Politics must not be so, what do you call it? We must not divide ourselves as a country on the author of politics. That because you are an MPP, by their logic, when you see an MDC person, that person is your enemy. And that is the kind of thinking. To the extent that when MPP is in power, do you know that there are a lot of NDC people who don't even make the effort of going to look for businesses to do? Because they have been brainwashed that when their leaders are also doing business, they come and tell you that this is it. And the same, when NDC is also in power, NDC supporters, MPP supporters don't want to even make the effort. When, in fact, your leaders that you are confident, you are going to brainwash you, are doing business with the NDC every now and then. So when the Baumia supporters started flooding their various platforms with my picture together with Mr. Pratt and so on, they drew my attention, and some of them came to platform that are on it. I quickly just sent the picture of Dr. Nufo hugging their candidate, the vice president. So I told them that if me, standing akimbo, without hugging anybody, is described as being the NDC building, but how about the vice president who is hugging an NDC campaign? He is the headman. Then they run away from that useless propaganda. So Mr. Chomati is saying that when by the grace of God, which we strongly believe that in 2025 he was sent to the throne of this land, he gets the opportunity of leading this country. He will harness every resource in this country, no matter the political affiliation. And some of us will make sure that that dream is actualized. That you have somebody in the NDC or CPP who is a very good engineer, and because he's in that part, you are not going to call the person. Then what sort of human being are you? And there can never be people who are qualified only in NPP. And I believe if all political parties are going to learn or emulate what Mr. Chomati is proposing and actualize it, it will help this country in a long way. Look, in terms of our own dynamics, competence-wise, none of the candidates that have picked forms come closer to Alan Chomati. Alan Chamate started managing businesses at a tender age. UAC, you know UAC? He was a senior manager at a tender age. Before he moved into consultancy and then advancing UN. Empretech, a lot of Ghanaian businesses today, they got trained by Mr. Chamate. When people are not even thought of training them. And that was why the UN adopted Empretech system and transformed it into Enterprise Africa. So at the point, Mr. Chamate was training about 13 African countries and a lot of businesses in Africa. Their leaders. In Ghana, you can talk about Kasapeko and so on and so forth. Before he became ambassador and led this country to enter the U.S. market through the AGWA, Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. It was his work. That was how come when you go to the industrial area, you saw textile factory companies springing up because they were producing socks and other clothing to the U.S. market. And by dint of hard work, he negotiated for Ghana to get a Millennium Challenge account. The $500 million that Sheikh IC said, the money is big, oh! It was big before there was someone called Alan Chamate that fought. Anytime anybody uses the M1 and you are speeding, know that there was a thinking behind it. And that thinking came from Mr. Alan Chamate. Having served in this broad spectrum, the president did. Jacob realized that, look, we were underutilizing his capabilities. So he brought him down to Ghana to be his trade and industry minister. And when he came, that was when he introduced the PSIs. I've been hearing people last time, Gabriela was here talking about PSI is no more functioning. And I was laughing. You know that Yesu Start Factory? Guinness has bought it. You understand? When Nestle came to Africa, Nestle normally are very choosy when it comes to engaging a local supplier of a raw material. Nestle was using products from Ayensu business to be feeding their factory, producing Cerelac. Guinness Ghana is using it and is benefiting them. As a country, we should have just followed it through. He came and introduced Friday Wear. Now we have made it every day wear. Now all of us are wearing it. Before doing that, before launching that, Kenyans, we had devoted. I remember very well, students, when they travel outside the country, especially when we were in tech, they come with a baggy, jeans, big. Nobody wanted to wear African clothing. They will call you Kolo. If you don't take them, no girl will even watch your face as a guy. I remember very well, pa. It took Mr. Chamate, and when he launched that thing, he decided as a person to be wearing Africa. That's why come you see him, most occasions, he's wearing his Africa attire. That was Mr. Chamate for you. He, in the party, or at the party level, he brought what we call party business ventures, constituency business ventures. A lot of our constituencies were having vehicles that were running for them. Businesses to feed the constituencies. It was when we lost power in 2008 that people decided not to follow through, and some of the constituency executives lost elections, so they could not manage the whole process very well. We left power in 2009. One of the things that he has been accused of is that when we left power now, he took a UN appointment. Because he had a vision. Remember when we set up the AU in 1963, one of the foremost objective was to unite Africa and then encourage us to be trading amongst ourselves. Mr. Chamate started that business after 2009 when he was appointed as an AU commissioner by the UN in terms of trade. Started putting papers together on how we can form the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. You see, as if it was designed. We came to power in 2017. Don't we have Africa Continental Free Trade Area now? Are we not supposed to be trading amongst ourselves? This is a continent of 1.2 billion people with a market value of 3 trillion. If we were going to trade amongst ourselves, yes, there is no way Africa we must starve. Nigeria imports salt all the way from Brazil. Look at the distance from Nigeria to Brazil. And look at the distance from Ada to Brazil. Why must we, as a fellow African country, be imported from Brazil? Because the AU is not organized. That is what this Africa Continental Free Trade Area seeks to deal with. And that is the work of Mr. Chamate. We went into the 2020 elections with his project, his performance at the ministry. Because we had used the free SHS to campaign for the 2016 elections. What were we going to use in 2020? We used the one district, one factory. To tell Ghanaians what we had done. And that was what did the trick for us. 126 factories working. That was what did the trick for us. And that is the work of Mr. Chebate. So it was not surprised that the only MP coming from the Volta region, for the first time in the history of this country and in the history of the MPP, we had an MP from Volta proper. In those days, we had one from Nkwanta or so, but that was not Volta proper. But now, whoever thought, look, to the extent that last Saturday, the NDC had this 44 June 4th celebration in Hohoi. Go and see the numbers. Few people attended. Few people. But when I want to attest to that, maybe he doesn't want to incur the wrath of the party. I can show you the pictures. Because Mr. Amewu has been able to turn Hohoi into a stronghold of the MPP. And he is the eye of the people of the Volta region. So if Mr. Amewu, don't forget, he was a former regional chairman of the party in the region. He has been in this party for that long. Gives the indication that Alan is the only one that Ghanaians are waiting for to vote for. What else? He's a true patriot. If you have followed Mr. Amewu's political trajectory, you will know that he's a true patriot. He has been in the Lions Den. The Dangers were there since. And so when he speaks, it carries weight. And we know that because some of people like him has come out to boldly lead the Alan campaign, those that were afraid of any intimidation or any whatsoever you want to put it, will begin to speak. And like I've assured you, by September, it will be clear to all and sundry that Alan's victory is divinely ordained, and indeed it is his time. I'll end it here.
All right, thank you so much. Right. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Let me turn my attention to Prince. Prince.
Yeah.
I know normally you will not be concerned with whether it should be Alan or whether it should be Bawumia, but of course, the NDC has an interest in who they face. And I've even heard the National Democratic Congress, some members of the party say that if they present Bawumia, it's going to be a cool chop for the National Democratic Congress. And even still, if they bring the Honorable Alan chairman team, the NDC would still win, but that he would pose a bigger challenge to the National Democratic Congress. Do you share similar sentiment?
Yes, I do. And this one, though unscientific, but I think that it has become a popular knowledge. I will start by saying that generally, if it's about internal party elections, I'm careful. I've said it several times because it happens to be the biggest test for any political party, how to reorganize yourself. Thankfully, in our case, we have done from branches to the presidential candidate. Maybe the only thing left is for us to get a running mate that will partner the former president into the 2024 general elections. Apart from that, I think what is happening in MPP is equally not new, except that listening to Solo, I think they should be measured in their expectations as they seek to fight for Alan to lead MPP. Currently, he has a Herculean task of winning the presidential primaries of MPP before he now puts up himself for the general elections. All the 11 people that have picked forms to contest in the MPP presidential elections, by the grace of God, any of them that wins will be an opposition leader after 2025. Mm-hmm. That one, there is no two ways about that. I have listened to Solo and his people on other platforms for some time now. They are trying very hard to wash away Honorable Alan Chiramanten from the mess caused by this government. If there is anybody the NDC will fear or have some level of uncertainty in us going into 2024 general election, this person shouldn't be a member of this government. As for that one, anybody coming out of this government is a no-no for Ghanaians, because look, the current MPP government have subjected Ghanaians to a very unpleasant situation currently. Any sector of our development, they have messed it. You can talk about health, you can talk about education, you talk about the economy, any aspect, they have messed it up. You know, Solo is saying that the MPP relied on Honorable Alan Chiramanten's one district, one factory to campaign 2020. These same projects, they said it was not, or it is not under his ministry. Let's put that one aside. What did one district, one factory bring to MPP? In fact, those projects, I heard you somewhere say we have 120 something operating.
126.
In my region, I will not want to be emphatic about any other region. In my region, the Upper West region, the MPP government have not put up a single factory working in Upper West. We have 11 districts. And I'm saying it on authority. MPP have not put up a single factory working in the Upper West region. I'm very emphatic about that. Yet, you tell us that that is what the MPP used to campaign in 2020 general election. So in the case of Upper West region, what did they campaign with in the Upper West region?
Well, we lost Upper West.
Well, that one aside, I think the other challenge I'm seeing is that you are, will I say, you are seriously looking for things that are much even bigger than the ideas of Alan Chiramanten to credit him those things. You talk about African Continental Free Trade Area and all those things. That Alan Chiramanten has nothing to do with it. Because this is part of the 13 flagship programs that has been envisaged and planned for Africa 2063 or so. How we want Africa to be by 2063. And you want to credit it to Alan Chiramanten just because he wants to lead the MPP. In the earlier story we discussed, I mentioned that one of the conflict, one cause of conflict that makes it very difficult to manage is when it's about tribe and religion. Anytime the MPP goes into their internal elections, it's about tribe and religion. And that is what is equally playing in this current presidential primaries. On bigger platforms, you hear MPP leaders saying that it is Dankwa, Buzia, Dombo tradition. So, Dankwa had, Buzia is currently there also, and now it's the turn of Dombo. That is Baumia. You see, these are very serious things that the MPP should avoid. People should be able to campaign based on their merits, what they think they can do for this country, not by coming from the north, south, middle belt. Those things are a recipe for a future conflict within the party and even the country as a whole. That may be difficult for us to manage. Dr. Mahmoud Baumia should be able to come out clear to tell Ghanaians what he has done and what he will do if given the opportunity. Alan Chiramanten should be able to tell Ghanaians, not that a drew meso, because a drew also is not enough for you to be a flag bearer. Edru so hefa. In what arrangement? You should be able to tell us that because of ABC I did in the past, I am qualified to do E and that in future, going into the future. You shouldn't just be going around telling people that Edru may so work and all those things. Because Honorable Alan Manten, until recently, was a cabinet member. And the last time I checked, cabinet level or cabinet meetings or decisions at cabinet is supposed to be the highest level of decision making in governance in Ghana. Alan Manten today is talking about jobs, and my brother Solo is, carrying it out here. Alan Manten was part of the cabinet and government that brought the shambolic NAPCO that couldn't stand the test of time. Today, their own party people, 240 something district coordinators, are crying that they are in the house, they are not being paid, they are unemployed. Alan Manten was part of it. Whether Alan Manten has brought a plan that you think is superior and nobody has criticized it up till now, it is for us to also look at the fact that Alan Manten is part and a key member of a government that promised every district $1 million per constituency. Sorry. We are in our 7th year. If you ask of that, it becomes another drama. Honorable Alan Manten is part of an economic management team headed by Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia that has performed abysmally in the history of this party, of this country under the Fourth Republic. This economic management team is known as the worst in terms of performance. And you have 2 leading members of that team saying they want to lead Ghana. Are we saying that those unpopular and unproductive decisions that the economic management team took right from 2017 till Alan Manten resigned as a minister, are we saying that he was not part of it? Are we today trying to say the high taste for borrowing that this government embarked on, that has led us into this critical economic conditions that we have in this country, are you trying to tell us that Alan Manten was not part? What is important is, maybe Ghanaians may say that he is a bit better than Bawumia. Maybe. Because Ghanaians really wish that they will see Nanado's picture on the ballot 2024 and would have taught him a lesson he will never forget. Unfortunately, it will not happen. Now, they will be scouting to see any of his disciples. So, is it a senior disciple or a junior disciple? That may mitigate the level of lashing Ghanaians will give them. Maybe if it's a junior disciple like Alan, the lashes may be lesser. And if it is the senior disciple, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the lashes may be unbearable for MPP. It is a choice for MPP to make. And you see, apart from everything, I keep saying that the MPP should be electing a leader who will be able to hold the party in opposition. But we are going into opposition in 2025, inshallah. You should be electing a leader that will be able to hold on and carry the party at his back, even in opposition, whether 8 years, 16 years, 12 years, or any years that God Almighty may ordain. Recently, I watched a video from your boss himself, Honorable Alan Manten, justifying the role Ashanti region plays in MPP's victory and why it is no more a secret that for that reason he should be considered coming from Ashanti region. I watched the video and it was Honorable Alan Manten himself speaking. That's another worrying situation. MPP up to this point should even be looking at how to win elections beyond Ashanti region. Because the NDC as a party, we are doing very, very, very well in Ashanti region now. We are progressing to the extent that even the votes we get from our so-called minority enclave, which is the Ashanti region, is much more than what we get from one of our strongholds, that is Volta region. I'm getting the point. So the NPP should stop this olden days Ashanti region is for us, and most of your national executives who are from the region campaign on that basis. We are from the stronghold of NPP, so vote for us, especially your national organizer in particular, because I heard him speaking. And I think that the NPP should wake up. The NDC is making great inroads in the Ashanti region, and in the very near future, by the grace of God, the story will change in Ashanti region. So I want to see a healthy campaign. I really don't have much worries, and our party really don't have much worries, because we have seen those that has come up. People are even saying that it is not a two-horse race anymore. I heard the agric minister, the former agric minister, and his campaign team for the past day saying that they were going to pull a shocker by winning the election. So it's no more between Alan and Baumia. But my very good friend Solo, I think the stakes currently are not very good for Honorable Alan Chiramanten and his team. The one thing he has been accused of is his inability to even build people around himself in MPP. And that is one of the reasons why today. So all those things we said, one district, one factory being his initiative, Friday wear, and all those things, Massa, those are much bigger than what he has done or what he can do for us.
Right. Thank you very much. Briefly.
I'm not too sure my brother has been able to scan through the whole of Upper West to see that there is not a single 1D, 1F in Upper West. Now let me give him just one.
Okay.
There is a company called Savannah Foods Empire Limited. Processing of soya beans into cake and refined soya oil for domestic and industrial purposes. Location Wa Central, Upper West.
Okay, and he's from Wa Central.
So I'm very surprised that you are going to be following.
Let me tell you something about that factory.
But is it existent?
That factory. The government, MPP, has no knowledge about it.
You see, that is the problem I have with my brother.
It's not a problem. The problem I have the same thing exercises. A young man established a cotton refinery, which was not even completed. Nana Akufo-Addo came to the region. He was scouting all over for projects to inspect them. MPP has done virtually nothing. Are you not done? No, I'm just saying that the example you gave is one of the cooked. I know the owner.
I just wanted to give you one.
It's not your one.
Emphatically,
yes,
that there is not a single. And I throw a challenge to that company.
You did a tracker and you said my village.
No, but the point is that But the point is that let's ask Prince whether or not he's a shareholder of this company, whether he's a director of this company, whether he's a management member of this company, to be able to say that this company did not enjoy any support. I am giving you official document. So on what basis he has to withdraw the statement that he made that indeed the whole of Upper West is there is none. And I just quoted when you are telling me that.
Let's mention a name.
I gave you
have succeeded in doing.
Is it an existing factory?
It's an existing.
So you see what I'm telling you.
Which has nothing. Why? So you think that any factory that is in Upper West is established by MPP?
So you see, when I picked the document, I didn't mention any other company, and I just gave him one. I have not cited the company before.
That's what
you see the data is available.
So let's do this. Your government did a tracker where you published what you claim you did, and I'm saying that in my village. under one minister.
Yes.
You indicated in the tracker.
That is another matter altogether. I am not discussing it.
It really doesn't matter.
You have already confirmed. You have confirmed to our viewers that yes, there is a company called Savannah Food and Parliamentary, and I'm saying that company.
We are not discussing factories. We are discussing 1D1F.
But that is 1D, 1D1F.
That's what you can conveniently write it there, just like you did.
But you said you were born.
Let's proceed.
And that doesn't change anything.
Another point.
That doesn't change anything.
With that.
It doesn't change anything.
I think that going forward.
Yes.
I may
have to bring you the fullest.
In order to remove doubt.
Yes.
We should have the companies and.
It is there at the Ministry of Trade website.
And we should know what sort of support particularly that government has given to them. Whether it was money or whether we should know particularly.
That is why I was drawing his attention or drawing viewers' attention to. I asked him a simple question: whether or not he was a shareholder of this company, whether or not he was a.
Does that really matter?
Because for you to be able to say that company never received any support.
I'm saying that I'm not talking about support. I'm saying that the existence of that factory has nothing to do with one. That is the point.
The concept of
I'm not even going to the point of saying whether you support it or not.
Support companies that were struggling, and it's also to build new companies. Okay. So that is it.
So it is one of the companies you supported.
Absolutely. So now I'm going to retract your.
No, I'm not. But I'm saying that I have made a point, and nothing.
I am very surprised
is wrong with that.
Hear my brother say that Anchamanti must not be campaigning that
on the back of after.
No, apart from after that, Ashanti region is where we get our votes from, so they must vote for him. I mean, on what basis should he campaign again? That if I know the sheepfold, the concentration is here. And I'm one of those. I should say, no, don't consider me as a brother. No, you do it. So why I am very surprised that he's saying that. Again, the usual propaganda that Alan Chabanti has not built anybody around him. Granted, that is even the case. Then that is the more reason why Ghanaians must vote for Alan Chabanti. Because you know what? When you are put in position of authority, you are supposed to serve. There are two interests you have to serve: the public good and the private good. But once you are appointed as a leader of this country, your foremost priority must be to serve the public good. So the public, by public good, we mean creating employment for the masses and not for your immediate friends and family members. So if the man has been able to create 296 1D1F, well, 126 working. Out of that, 160,000 are working. If by a singular policy, 160,000 Ghanaians are working, and he said because those that were very close to him could not enrich themselves, and in so doing he must be rejected. Then I want to entreat all those watching and listening that you can have a leader who will think about you, a leader that you do not know but will create an environment that would help you. After all, everyone is looking for jobs to do. So on that score alone, then he comes to the point that what did you want to? You want to add something?
Are you still speaking?
No, you want to add something.
You just said something that is problematic.
What is the problematic?
Conclude, and I give Mahmoud 2 minutes.
So in conclusion, what I would say is that our brothers in the NDC are scared because the electoral figures. He spoke about the fact that NDC is improving in the Ashanti region. Yeah. That is the more reason why you need someone who will stop that. In fact, he just gave the NDC out. He has given us a clue, and NPP delegates and NPP members across the length and breadth of this country must listen and listen to my brother Prince Mahmoud very well with rapt attention. That he just gave the strategy of the NDC, that indeed they are improving. Yes, the electoral figures suggest so, that apart from the greater Accra region, the next region that the NDC garners more votes is the Ashanti region. So why is the Ashanti region votes of the NDC appreciating? Because probably the region is losing confidence in the flag bearers. And so you need a candidate who would represent the region's interest, whom the region will see that, hey, this is our home, to be able to reduce, if not reduce, stop the appreciation of votes of the NDC. And who amongst the lot? He just even did a proper campaign for Alan this morning. And that the only candidate among the 11 that are picked for him who will be able to reduce drastically the votes that NDC is getting in the Ashanti region in non-Ghana Chematen. And for that reason, make no mistake to go and vote for any other candidate. And he is the only one the NDC fears.
Let me just, I'll just on few this. As for this Ashanti region thing, I've made my point. There is no need going in further. Those who have ears, they should listen. But what is important is that going back on the factories thing, anything this government, this MPP government puts up as their so-called evidence of doing work, it's always nothing to write home about, and something that you can certainly not trust, because these things were uploaded on your tracker, the government's own tracker you built with the taxpayers' money in an attempt to propagate the little good that you have done. And even when Ghanaians went into that, it was full of falsehood. And I've just given you an example, and that is why I'm saying that no matter document you pull out from your phone, I and listeners, and I'm sure Bless, will not believe that, because you are known for fabricating what doesn't exist. And I'm taking products from that particular company you made reference to. That company existed before this government.
But please, you are still going back.
I
asked you whether you were a director of the company.
So you are fond of that. You have said it on this show several times that you don't believe whatever I say, especially from the region. You have said it. You know why? So I don't want you to even believe what I'm saying.
But you have vindicated my position that you said that there is no single one.
You said you have established.
I have given it to you.
So you said you have established factories, and 126 of those factories are working. What is the meaning of establishment?
I made mention of the.
So what is the meaning of establishment? If you say you have established something, what is the meaning of establishment?
Supported some factories.
You just said you have established. How do you know the meaning of establishment?
Listen.
If you know the meaning of establishment,
I'll give you. Look, in fact, in the whole of the Upper West, it's 8 companies. It's 8. Upper West, let me give it to you. In fact, in the Upper West, you can go on. I will set it for you.
No, I want us to listen to the 8 other.
You're not to look for trouble for yourself.
I won't even look.
There is nothing absolutely like that. So don't look for trouble for yourself. Which 8 factors?
When I gave you the preamble, I said we have been able to construct 296 1D1F at various stages of completion. Is that not the case? Out of that, 126 is operational. Look, the others that I'm going to talk about are within various stages of completion. And listen to it. This is daily graphic. You can read it here.
He said he has just used constructed again.
This is daily graphic. Which date? Please check the date.
There's 8 companies in the Upper West region have received government's approval to take off this year under the One District, One Factory program. This was on May 8, 2018.
We had various stages of completion. You see,
the 8 prospective factories are spread throughout the region, with one each in Nandom, in the Nandom district.
Which factory is that?
Tumu in the Sisala East district, and Laura in the Laura district, 2 in Golu in the Sisala West district, and 3 in the Wa municipality.
Can you imagine?
If you are going to contact somebody Suparu,
Suparu was the one that came on this show, and he told me that the entire district, nobody had what you call Ghana card. I challenged him here.
When did he make that comment?
Me and him on this show. That time we were talking. What are we talking about? I listen to Paul.
Oh, so let's from this. All these things is just drama. It's drama. It's not real. There is nothing like that.
Let's proceed to our next topic. So, school feeding caterers to receive arrest next week. That's according to the gender minister. Also, the school feeding grant has been increased from 1 Ghana cedi to 1 cedi 20 pesos. The caterers were asking for 3 cedis initially. Then they actually brought it down to 2 Ghana cedis, but it appears that they are not even getting 50% of the 2. They are getting only 20% of that 1 cedi increment they wanted, and so 1 cedi 20%. Also, the gender minister is saying that in a few weeks' time the arrears will be paid, and this we are talking about 18 months for 18 months for that matter, 18 months arrears that these caterers are being owed. And these caterers, a lot of people have said, I don't know whether that is true, are members of the New Patriotic Party, the women's wing of the New Patriotic Party.
Just a quick one. I just received a message from an indigene of Sisala.
And you think I'm going to take it? How what I'm talking about? How did I know?
He's a teacher. He's a teacher. And this is the message. He said that unfortunately, in fact, he was calling when Oh, this is the message. Unfortunately, there is no 1B1F in Sisala West District. Thanks.
No, did you say Sisala West?
That's Bolu. Bolu is Sisala West. You said 2. No, this is an indigent from the district. Can you imagine this? So
I doubt it.
I wish I could hear.
So look down.
You personally.
And then Sisala is Tumu.
Tumu.
I will take you personally to the Upper West.
I've been there.
He's been there. That's his second one.
No, but what I'm saying is that to the various sites, not just going to the
I said your boys have not done.
Those of you watching from the
This is the message. I've just shown you the message. Have you seen any NBC attached to the?
Let me hear from you. Are there any factories in
so have you seen any NBC attached?
Organizer Silo. Organizer.
Right. Let's proceed. Let's proceed to the school feeding program. I'll start with you.
Yes,
Mahmoud. It's been a very worrying issue, especially for me. If you look at the quality of food that we expect that these kids be given, and you look at the money that is allotted to each child, 1 Ghana cedi for that matter now has been increased to 1 Ghana cedi 20 pesos. I don't know what's in this world. I don't know what food that 1 cedi 20 pesos can buy. I seriously do not know. But also the arrears, the issue of arrears, they are owed lots of money, and government has come to say that I think next week or so they'll try their best possible and then settle them. That should actually bring them some respite, I should say. But what are your thoughts?
Bless. Sometimes when I reflect, I ask myself in my quiet moods that what at all is this government using our resources to do? Like, what in God's name is the MPP government using our monies to do? Well, it looks as if nothing is working. It looks as if they owe everything and everybody. It looks as if every program, whether they initiated it, whether they inherited it, it looks as if they cannot fund those programs. And you see, what is important, and like we have always said as a party, is that there is one thing to say it by word, and there is another thing to act, which will be backed certainly by action. Apart from the fact that today we are just talking about what's the name, caterers and school feeding and those things, the entire educational sector and the MPP is sitting on a time bomb, except that we don't know exactly when it is going to explode. You are unable to feed what's the name, senior high school students. You are unable to pay capitation grant. You are unable to provide textbooks. You are unable to pay feeding grants. Absolutely nothing. So what are they using our monies for? Students, before they even talk about the quality, which has caused you to be worried, and you started introducing the topic from that point, the students are currently talking about quantity, what to just put in the stomach, so that they don't suffer any form of collapse even when they are being taught. And you see, the danger of it is that these things are affecting the public schools, where relatively we expect people with very low income levels to have their wards there. You have created an impression that you are feeding the students. So when the child is going to school, the parents know that at least my child will be fed with one hot meal. In reality, it doesn't happen. On several occasions, these caterers had to go on strike, demonstrate, and these are your own party people. The last time in history we checked, when they massed up to the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council, the regional minister there gave them the damn, spoke unprintable words to them. We all watched and we listened to whatever that he told them. This is a program that was introduced under the ex-Wal Kofo's administration. And I remember the import of this program was to serve the less privileged communities, where students of public basic schools will be served with at least one hot meal a day. Before the program commenced, you had the northern sector, where statistics were actually used to secure the grants for that program. Their schools were not even benefiting from it. I remember when it started. For instance, in the whole of one municipality, in 2008, it was only 3 basic schools that enjoyed, what's the name? School feeding program, only 3. 1, 2, 3 schools. It took the NDC government to expand it to the real, the communities that actually needed this intervention. Payments were being made. We have had it increase from some pesos to the 1 cedi that it currently stands. But bless, students don't have textbooks to read, and you are talking about food. This government, through Ministries of Education and GES, changed the curriculum of the basic schools. Some 4, 5 years down the line. Up till now, there is no textbooks for those courses. Today, the minister will say that, yesterday I read a story where the Minister of Education is now telling everybody that they are having challenges in the supply chain. They are now going to contact some courier services, whatsoever, some drama. As if schools have not received textbooks in the past before. It is only under MPP government that they are now finding ways of transporting the books to the students. Currently, as we speak, we are still discussing content of the books that are to be produced. And the minister is telling everybody that those books are on transit to the regions. It's the same thing this minister is telling us. 18 months. Look at how unstable food prices are in the market. They claim they brought, what's the name? Planting for food and jobs. It did not yield any ultimate positive results in the market, because we are still facing food price hikes, and in some cases we are facing shortages even in the market. A woman will buy a bag of maize a year or 2 ago at, let's say, 400 cedis in the market, used it to prepare food. Today she goes back to the market to go and buy the same maize and is selling around 800 cedis. At that same rate you are going to pay the caterer. What are you doing? Where are the businesses that you are growing in this country? So you see, for me, I think that the only solution for us at this point is the NPP government should just be honest with us as a people. There is honesty in leadership. There is honesty in finding solutions to problems. What is wrong if the NPP government admits that, look, for this reason and that reason, we are unable to continue with the, school feeding program for this period. It will be suspended until ABCD happens. What is wrong with that? So that, if for nothing at all, you will save our innocent children and their parents from the pain of having their wards going to school with the mind of being fed, and at the end of the day, they will not be fed. As for the videos that circulates about the food quality, that becomes a general term for us to discuss. But you see, you have a government that can find money to spend so much on by-elections. We saw what happened at Kumewu. The government all of a sudden had money. The government all of a sudden had money to go and do roads. The government all of a sudden had money to go and share to people. The government all of a sudden had money to buy rice and gari and send to Kumewu to do by-elections. But the government doesn't have money to pay school feeding caterers. If for nothing at all, Solo, that rice and gari you people went and shared at Kumewu. If you had given those rice and gari to the supply, they would have been cooking that one for our students. If for nothing at all. Those monies you miraculously churned out for the contractors to go and start working on the roads that you have lifted the machines after the by-elections. You could have used those, because look, Bless, it will surprise you to know that this money in arrears, if you quantify it, it might not be nothing as compared to what this government spends on frivolous expenditure. It might surprise you. Some few millions, and it's done. On daily basis, you spend recklessly on expenditures that are not inherent to the benefit of this country. Every day in and day out, you do those expenditure. Why can't you? So at a point, you feel it's just heartless. 2 weeks ago, the NDC Regional Communications outfit in Upper West Region carried out a story about a shortage of food at the various senior high schools. And you know why it's difficult for this sector, especially our education sector, to progress under this government? There is this deliberate attempt by government to instill culture of silence on the authorities, so that you are even unable to talk. That's the danger of it. They are deliberately instilling culture of silence. So even if it is bad, but you can't talk, just keep quiet. And sometimes I feel saddened that we have struggled and got ourselves out of military regimes, found ourselves in a so-called democratic dispensation, and yet culture of silence is gradually coming back to rest. If you find out what some of these caterers are going through. The last time I listened to their press conference, some said they they went to the market and picked some of the foodstuffs on credit. Beans, rice, gari, maize. They picked these things on credit. Today, their creditors are after them. They can't pay. Some are even willing that take your contract, take it. I don't want it, but just pay me my money and I'll be free. So the sad thing I will repeat again is that these women are your party women. These women, they are your party women. Those who struggle, those who bought the scratch cards. You remember 2016, Solo and Nana Akufo-Addo and Co. They were selling scratch cards in the market for market women to buy so that they will get money and do campaign and win elections. Those are the women you are treating this way. Those are the women you are treating this way. And there is pain in them. Because today, like I said, they don't really care about even continuing the program. They don't care about continuing being caterers. They just want the government. So the government should stop next week. And they have forgotten something about nature. You see this gender minister saying that next week will come not because of her. Next week will come because it is ordained to come. And next week will come and the story will still be the same. They will not pay these women. Because we have heard this next week, next month, next week. The same thing that man at Buffer Stock is also doing. Today, schools will get food. Tomorrow, schools will get food. And it's the same thing, the same drama, the same promises that are not being fulfilled. And people are suffering, our younger brothers, sisters are suffering in the schools. Bless. At the end of the day, we always say in NDC that we know how to do it, just like we have done it before. It's not too far, a year and a half away, inshallah, the remedies will start coming.
Right, thank you. Mr. Ozu.
We in the NDC knows how to do it, and it's not far, and we shall provide the remedy according to Prince Mahmoud, the organizer, the regional organizer of Upper West NDC. Now, let me quote what was reported in January of 2013. In fact, this is Friday, 26 July 2013, not January. 5,000 school feeding caterers unpaid since January. 5,000 school feeding caterers unpaid since January, and this was 26th of July 2013. So between January and July is what, 7 months. And for 7 months, the party's communicator, the regional organizer, who is saying they have the remedy.
For 6 months. 6 months.
January to we make it
on the 6 months phone.
January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Is it not 7 months?
No, don't add January. Say January, February, March, April.
Okay, you let me. I'll go with your figure. It's 6.
6 months.
He that is promising heaven. This is their record I just played to you.
Maybe comparatively, the MPP, the current government is 18 months.
It's not.
It is 18.
Some have been paid, but the point is that, see, the school feeding program is a very beautiful concept, whichever way you look at it. In fact, currently, it provides employment to more than 20,000 caterers across the country. So it's not something that you can just dispel it. It also has a reason. There was a reason why this school feeding program was introduced. You know, African governments realized that school enrollment was going down, and even those that were attending, you remember those of us that started in the ages that were so difficult, early 80s, chaired by their own founder of the party, Chairman Rollins, where it was even difficult to get cassava, rotten cassava to eat. We grew in those era. So a lot of our IQs were down because you see the formative ages. The period that you have to let a child eat properly to grow well is between 6 and 19. You understand? That was the period their chairman was giving us banche, rotten banche. So the African leaders met and said, to be able to engineer more enrollment into our schools, let us add an incentive by way of feeding the kids. And that was how come President Kufuor introduced it in the early days of his administration. But let me also say that before then, as far back as 1952, the Catholic Relief Service had started it, but they were doing it in the northern regions. So it is, we have all the blueprint. There is also a reality. And the reality is that our tax to GDP is nothing to write home about. You see, the program is supposed to rest on the taxes that we pay. So that once we pay more taxes, then the caterers can get some to feed. And I'm very happy that now we are trying very hard as a government to put in place certain measures that will rake in more revenue. Again, there is also an aspect of the program that we are missing. That for me falls in line with the plan that I just told you about, Mr. Chairman. See, the original intent of the school feeding program was to use farm produce produced within the catchment area, so that we were not supposed to be importing rice from China or from Taiwan or from anywhere, but rather rice produced in our locality. Rice and then other food items that were produced by farmers from this country, and particularly from the various districts that these school programs were going on. The idea was to provide the farmers with ready market, so that there wouldn't be any situation where a farmer will produce something and then we are unable to get market for it. I think we need to go back and then deal with it. Again, in terms of government owing caterers or always being in arrears, it's normal, because you know government relies on the taxes before it pays. So you ask yourself, at what point does the taxes come in for the government to be able to pay? Once again, where we have to strengthen our management level is the financial regime that goes with this feeding program. Can't government, as it will, provide all the guarantees to these caterers so that they are able to go and credit their ingredients to such a time that government will be able to pay them, so that they are taking off the pressure of suppliers always chasing them? I'm not too sure I will be happy when, having fed the kids, I will be chased for things that I've credited. When in fact, government is the one owing me. I'm not happy. That's why I was furious with the Ashanti regional minister when he decided to behave unruly towards the caterers. At the end of the day, they are also being chased. At the end of the day, government can come in to provide the necessary guarantees to the banks. For instance, there is a commercial bank, there is the NIB, ADB, and so on. They all can be roped into the program. And also, going forward, the level of transparency must be improved. Because we are in this country, or you were in this country, where a headmaster, you were told, decided to swap some of the food items. See, while you come in, you are talking about the quality of food. It is our own doing. Because I'm not too sure any caterer would want to go and cook substandard foods to kids. But here again, it is for us as a country to improve on it. I see it as a good policy. I see it as one of those policies that we must not make the slightest of mistakes to even want to think of cancelling it. It must be there so that more and more children can go to school, eat and learn, and become worthy citizens, and not like some of us. Probably if we had had better food in our days, we would have invented all the machinery the country needs. They are our future. But I can say, look at the joy in their faces on seeing food. Watch the screen. The program that my brother is lambasted. See the young one, especially the one in Rasta. The joy. We can improve the joy by improving the richness of the food. Am I lying? I don't know. Omutu. If we had this in our time, if we had this Omutu in our time, look at the joy. So, policymakers, let us take this program very serious. Let us live the dreams of the founding fathers of this program, and let each and every one who is involved in making it a success play its role. We will not gain anything by shortening these young ones. So let us play our end here.
Just a quick one, Bless. You see, the irony of the whole case is that since this story broke out and commentaries have been run by senior members of this government, the vice president came out to tell us that they have built a system electronically that will monitor what food they cook in any school at any day and those things. So you see, sometimes we say something is wrong with somebody or a group, but I think everything is wrong with the vice president. The caterers are not being paid. Food is not being prepared. What have you built a system to monitor, for God's sake? What?
No,
have you built a system to monitor the empty kitchens?
No, the vice president said what?
He said they had built a system. He was on one of his usual.
He said going to ensure that
even in the minister's report, read the minister's to ensure Solo, Bless. You are not paying caterers.
You are not technologically advanced.
You are not cooking. What are you monitoring? What are you creating that system to monitor? That is the question I'm asking the vice president. You've not paid the women, the caterers. You've not, they are not cooking by effect of your non-payment. What are you building that system to monitor? So if you can answer for Mahmoud Baumia, answer for him.
Because he knows that things will improve, so he's preparing.
So any reasonable leader will want to provide it first and monitor. You don't monitor an empty tent.
That you are speaking against your own former leader. Your former president he decided to refurbish Commander Factory before thinking of the raw material. I didn't know the same thing
Solo.
It's not the same thing last year.
You see, Solo.
Which one is the
Let's be very realistic and honest to our viewers. You were referring to those children as being happy.
But it's only saying the picture.
You are being insensitive to them. Do you know why those stories came out? It was about the quality of the food. You know, a child really doesn't know what he or she
Hey, not today's child. Today's child.
Those children in those schools. So those children in those schools.
Today's child will not know the difference.
I'm not talking about your children.
No, I'm not talking.
So I'm not talking about your children. So your children are not there.
Today's
So your children are not there. I'm not talking about
Mahmoud. I can understand.
Yeah, and the case where they told Mahmoud that the quality of the food is not good.
But you see, I'm with those children. You are not with them. That's why you are speaking as if you are in heaven. Me, I'm with them. I work with them. So I work with them.
Where did you work with them?
I work with them. I'm with them.
Not your children.
Not your children. So not your children that you pack everything in a We are talking about the children at the villages.
Me, I live in the village. What I'm saying is that even in the village,
I think you
the
should have
food quality is
So
rich.
you know what? I have received about 4 messages. And they are all talking about
your constituency
your conduct.
organizers.
They are all talking about your conduct.
As for your constituency organizers,
I've received some.
I don't want you to be known.
these are biased viewers. Those that are saying that they need not interject
you see-
me while I was talking.
So you see, in conclusion, Bless, our vice president sometimes, I just think he's the problem, not even part of the problem. He's the problem, not even part of the problem. And these things must be done, having it in mind. You know, the minister, when I just read the story, that's even why I had to come in again. The minister said that through the program, they have employed 35,000 women. What is the definition of employment? Maybe I think we should redefine employment for this MPP government. You have contracted somebody who works on daily basis, and for 18 months, you have not paid her, and you say you've given the person employment. We will have to redefine employment for you people.
So when you decided not to pay them for that 6 months, were they in employment?
What kind of employment do you refuse to pay your employees for 18 months?
So you are doing work on daily basis.
So you see, that is why I keep saying that you people don't know why Ghanaians voted for you. Until now, you don't know why Ghanaians voted for you. No problem. Ghanaians felt that maybe the 6 months was too much. So they should vote for MPP who will do 2 months at work.
And we are doing that.
Or 1 month.
And we are doing that perfectly. And we are doing that.
Today you are doing West. That's why I'm saying that MPP up to this point, including all of you who are even wishing to lead the MPP now, you all don't know why Ghanaians voted for you.
So we should go.
Ghanaians voted for you because they thought. And in our language, we have a saying that he who enters a car inscribed on it hope and wish, you land in the market of Hadainu. That's a direct translation I have done. Kake nampe tama lola.
How can he come and say something?
You see,
you the host. You see,
it's a direct translation.
I told you that this so you don't trust my language.
This is someone who said there was not a single 1D1.
I said you have not established a single factory.
You are still allowing to go and speak.
So my language, I don't understand my language.
So you know it is Wala.
But if he's lying to the people of this country and you do not understand, how do you then take your
Bless? I think that I first gave a direct translation.
Yes,
into English.
yes, a little
Before I came,
you have many messages by the way.
So I think that out of so much hope and wishes, Ghanaians mistakenly brought the MPP, and that is what we are displaying this morning. You don't know why they voted for you.
I'll do a few messages, then I think our time is up. We have just some 10 minutes more. Good morning, Bless, and your wonderful panelists. Bless, as for the culture of silence, Aji Baby, and it's 200% true. Agencies, departments, and what have you. Bless, will you believe some heads of some institutions are asking its workers to donate their widow's mite to support the head of the MPP vow for a parliamentary seat in this Ghana of ours? Bless. Hello, good morning. My first message was read by mistake. It's not so clear. Good morning, Bless. I really want a clarification for this 1D 1F program? Was it promised to build new factories or to support the existing ones? Please, I need this clarification from Mr. Solo. Thank you, Gilbert Dapare from Kajaji in the Sini East District. Solo, there's nothing in why as far as 1D 1F is concerned. By Mahama. Okay, Mr. Host, the MPP man in your studio is not helping his candidate Alan at all. The attempt to make Alan an emperor in MPP is being washed away by his contradictions and distortion. Felix AY Netis Ghana Limited. Good morning, Bless. Really enjoyed your program. Kindly tell the MPP man that all those candidates running for the MPP primaries are not clean to even stand in the first place. He touted that the achievement of Alan. Meanwhile, he was part of the economic management team that took us to the gutters. His credibility is at stake. Are they telling us that one can only perform well when he or she is a president? What if we give them the power and those he appoints also behave the same way? Luke Dorina from Tamale, kindly tell Mr. Prince that I need his contact. Okay, Blessed, good morning. If I build my own factory and perhaps the government comes and put a little money into it, does that mean it should be called 1D 1F? Solo should give us a break. Good morning. Please tell the MPP man he's not saying the truth. I just like Nana Kumia. It's just like Nana Kumia saying there's watermelon factory in Wale Wale, but later was found out to be lies. Today, if Dr. Bamia comes to Wale Wale in his own town, he cannot move freely. We need GM for Ghana and Honorable Abuba as our MP. Good morning, Bless. I want to say good morning to Prince for his gentleman show and tell Solo to behave.
Who is that?
So a lot of people are tested from Sisala West. Sisala West. A lot of them are saying the factory.
Everyone is not comfortable with Prince's presentation because this is not there for him, but for the truth. Michael from Takrade, he said he is your former student. He said he's Prince's former student.
Michael, he's now
former students are all testing.
Oh, but my former students are Ghanaians.
The problem is
my former students are Ghanaians and they are paying taxes
on the program. You wire through all
So let me tell you something. Particular student, I taught him in JSS.
And you told him.
And he is now with the armed forces. He is paying taxes. He watches what happened in this country. So how is he biased? Because I thought
I will go to Takrade and well.
Hello, Mr. Host. Good morning. The popular saying, we have the men, we have the men. Where are the men? Now we are experiencing the worst ever economic challenge in the history of the Fourth Republic, but now the men are contesting to be flag bearers. Funny world. MPP never again. I must say, Bedan from Ofenso, 10th President, Methodist College of Education.
I'm a proud teacher.
Good morning, Bless. I wonder if it's Solo who is talking like that this morning. Let me ask Solo if it's not part of this failed government. Where are all these ideas before they failed? Solo knows that we, the youth in this country, need job, and he couldn't bring it on board. Now we are in the ditch. Let's tell Solo to keep quiet.
Who is that? What's his name?
Solo is calling me the viewers bias. Fine. We all know you have skeleton in your cupboard. Everybody has skeletons in their cupboard. Good morning, Pan-African TV. Is the One District, One Factory the only campaign message Solomon is telling us that Alan's campaign team has? Tony from Ho. Good morning to you, Bless, and your panelists, and to your cherished viewers. In fact, whoever tells you that Alan is coming to lead by hook or crook is a figment of their own imagination, as it is only the delegates who will be the better judges come that day. So let's be decorous as we go about campaigning for our candidate, as we should all be ready to back whoever becomes the flag bearer of NPP. Monica Cons in Avongo. This one, it looks like it came from an NPP person.
So that one too biased.
Edward Dubaza says Solomon and NPP are only good in equalization. Why didn't NPP also copy President Mahama for saving Ghana from going into bankruptcy?
What one?
NPP never again.
How did he save Ghana?
Okay. Mike Botry says plenty of judgment debts await the next government in 2025. Criminals leading the country. Okay. Boafo George says this is the best morning show. You are doing a fantastic job. So I'm streaming live from Adenta King George. It's farmers' time and it is Akutu's time. Okay. Dr. Akutu performed so well as a great minister, and it's time to give him the chance to serve Ghana as president to optimize our human and natural resources in the area of agriculture. Akutu Noah, he asks. Eric Query says, good morning, Pan Africa. Please, ask Mr. Solomon to mention the name of the factory in Nandong. Watching you from Nandong, in the Upper West region. Okay. Watching you live from Teflem. Help me wish a happy birthday to Mr. Seth Wotojo Harrison, accountant in Covenant International School in Teflem. Johnny Kujo says, good morning, Bless. I'm really enjoying Solomon Owusu's submission. We in the NDC are only waiting for them to destroy their party, MPP, before we meet them. We know after their primaries, other political parties will be formed by the music. The time has come for the elephant to go back to the bush. This is the beginning of the end of the party. Okay. This one says there can't be any large-scale revolution until there's a personal revolution on an individual level. It's got to happen inside first. We are going into the 2024 general election like never before. Revo has come to stay. So stop making noise. Well, finally, Ayaba says the most difficult work in Ghana currently is being a communicator for the New Patriotic Party. Well, that's what time will permit us for today's edition of the show. Thank you so much, Solomon Owusu. Thank you, Prince Mahmoud. Let me remind you that the Obasma Summit is this Friday at 4 p.m. at the National Theatre. You should do all to come around. The Minister for Information, Honorable Kujo Ponkruma, he will be around. Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Honorable Shirley Ayokobuche, would be around as well. There are a host of others. There are lots of people. Solomon Owusu himself would be around.
My regional chairman extends his greetings.
His hearty regards. Well, right. A hearty good morning.
The Chief of Staff, happy birthday, 76th birthday.
Oh, right. Happy birthday, man.
He's so much happy with you, and he missed you in the region, so you are invited again.
Right, Chairman I actually wanted to call him. It was Friday. We were talking about some food we ate in Wa the last time we came around.
All those.
Wow. One of my producers actually said that fufu, you need to go back to Wa for that fufu.
No problem.
A hearty good morning to the good people of Wa as well. Very, very welcoming people.
My regards to my very good brother and my defunct manager, Nuruddin Salifu. He's been watching us all this while.
And we all know that the 1D1Fs are there.
They don't know that this 1D1F. Upper West people will come and crack.
I'll be in Upper West. In August, I'll be in Wa, and I'll go and show anybody that wants to dare me. That there's no 1D1F in the Wa Central.
You show them.
I'll call for them, and then that's it.
Right. Thank you at home for always doing the watching. Those of you who watched through Facebook, we are extremely grateful. Those of you whose comments I've read, those of you who sent comments, we are extremely grateful. Do all to always send in your messages like I did. I always read them. Do have a pleasant day. Enjoy the week. I pray that it turns out productive for you. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.
Truly African.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the show. This is The Couch. My name is Amma Pratt. It's a rainy Thursday. Today is the 1st of June. I'm excited about June and all the possibilities, endless possibilities it has for all of us. It's starting on a very, very, very rainy note. Again, excited about that. You know, let's see what the rest of the year holds. This is exactly, you know, half a month. This is the next half of the year. So time to dust off your resolutions. Let's see what we can do with you. Tonight's show is on Hard Talk. We'll do a bit of politics today. I am excited about my guest this evening. You know why. I am going to be having this conversation with my madam, you know, my madam D, Joyce Bawa Muktari. She's spokesperson for our former president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. There are so many issues to go into the aftermath of the elections, 2 by-elections after that, internal issues in the NDC, you know, lots more. Lots and lots and lots and lots more. Today is a live show. Those don't happen often these days. So please, rush over to Facebook, leave us a message, a comment, whatever you have, whatever is bothering your mind, ask. Madam Joyce Bawa is very happy to answer yours and mine. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Trasacco Estates, home to Accra's most beautiful and luxurious homes, presents its newest addition, Trasacco Springs, a premium master planned community of service plots surrounded by an exhaustive list of amenities. The gated community of Tema to Accra Motorway presents you the finest opportunity to own a land that suits your preferred size, budget, and payment terms. Trasacco Springs is open to you for development. Our on-site sales executives are ready. Call
Welcome back to the show. Madam Joyce Bawa Muktari. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you, Madam.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Madam Amaprat. Thank you.
Always
for
a pleasure.
Literally chasing me into the studio.
Only I can do that to you.
Well, I told you that I'm actually a patron.
Right.
We are stakeholders of Obasima.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are excited about the night of June.
Massima no Mosha. I'm Saturday born, so I'm actually Ama.
So everything is scripted nice. Scripted nice. Thank you for making time. I know today has been very busy for you.
See
I know.
The hair color is lit. It's on fleek.
All for you.
Obviously.
All for you. All for you. All for you. I want us to go straight to UDS, where His Excellency, our former president, gave us, his speech after everything was settled and done. Today, I want us to start the conversation based on his words. So please, permit me, allow me, every now and then I'll read a little from his speech. So I'll start with this one. He says, I must add very quickly how happy I am to be speaking here at the University of Development Studies, UDS, in Tamale, having earlier launched my campaign at the University of Health and Allied Sciences, all of that. And then I will come straight down here. Let me, on your behalf and on my own behalf, acknowledge the contribution of Dr. Kwabena Dufo, former Mayor Kojo Bonsu, and Mr. Ernest Kobia towards enhancing the internal democratic systems of our party. Let me push you on the spot and say how. How is it? And today I'm not even wasting. Today we have an hour and a half, and I'm going to make the most of that hour and a half. How is it? How could Dr. Kwabena Dufo, Kojo Bonsu, and Ernest Kobia, how could they have enhanced the internal democratic systems of the party when they literally dragged the party to court hours before the election?
Well, good evening, Amma, and good evening to everybody who's joining us on the show this evening. See, I know you seem very, very excited this evening.
I am.
I am sure you want to do a lot of mischief.
Yes, that too.
And, so I'm beginning to ask if it was a good idea to
Oh
be here,
dear.
especially under current circumstances. You know, things are very tough.
Right.
Things are not as easy as they used to be or as we expect them to be. Times are actually very, very hard. And I love a quote that actually came up because over the last few hours we are all mourning the passing of Professor Ama Ata Edu. And one of the quotes that actually resonates with me very much says that when they ask you, tell them that life happened and tell them that I failed to learn the rules of life. I just never learned how to play this thing called life.
That's
So
a deep one.
Yes, very, very deep and very profound. And so I think in many ways, it actually brings this conversation to bear also on our democracy. And you do know also that underpinning all of our democratic processes is actually competition. As simple as that. Why not? I mean, personally, in the wake of 2020, I would have wished, I would have hoped that we will actually be able to find, a middle way. And then maybe JM would have gotten an acclamation or be allowed to go unopposed, etc. But you see, in his own words, he loves competition. He thinks that is actually what democracy is all about. He's also very, very pragmatic, that there will be many people who will be willing at one point or the other to put themselves up also to contest. If you look at what happened in 2020, for example, there were many other people, almost 5 other people, including him, making them 6. In 2020, there is a particular thing about the NDC that we forget to mention, that in the space of 4 years, we had made a fantastic comeback, even to equal our opponents in Parliament. And so you'd think that everybody would, be okay with JM actually leading the party into the next general election. But that wasn't to be. But be that as it may, they put themselves up, they picked up nomination forms, they filed to contest and all of that. But whatever the case is, I think that that figure of 99% tells you one thing, that our delegates all along knew exactly who they wanted to lead them into the next election. They knew exactly what they were looking for. And funny enough, even at the point when Dr. Dufo actually withdrew from the race, which was just a day before the actual election, because the notice of poll had been published, we were just ready to go out there and vote when he decided to go to court. And so when he finally decided to withdraw the case from court, what happened? People didn't even know.
True.
Yes, a lot of people didn't know.
True.
And so when people started to hold this debate about the numbers of spoiled ballots and all of that, it was obvious that the EC had decided to count all of the votes cast in his interest as spoiled ballots because he had pulled out of the contest. I mean, too little, too late, yes. Did he even have to stay in the race? Who knows? Was it even necessary for him to go into the race? Who knows? I think it was fantastic. What I cannot take away is some of the things that were said. And maybe because we have some amount of time, I've been following events in Nigeria in the aftermath of the election. I've followed the inaugural speeches, the commentary that accompanied the inaugural speeches, because the same day they swore in many of these governors as well. And Ama, there's one thing that I took away. There were no wishy-washy statements, no unnecessary, insults or descriptions, denigration of your predecessor or your successor and things like that. Absolutely not. Not once did I hear any of that. In a few weeks, even to the inauguration, we had heard that there was a certain falling out even between Buhari and now President Tinubu and all of that. But none of that played out on the day. And then I commented to a friend who lives there, who is actually a judge now. And he said, but you know, I find that very strange about the politics in Ghana.
Right.
I find it very caustic, very acerbic. You know, sometimes it's outright just totally rude and unnecessary. And then he said, it's very rare here in Nigeria. So it speaks volumes.
Okay. So we should take this as, you know, a more mature person extending an olive branch after an election, like a graceful winner.
Absolutely.
After an election. And there's something that you just said that has also come up. This thing about that whole exercise of going to the polls for the NDC particularly, was it even necessary? You know, because everybody, come on, 99%, everybody understands who was wanted, and so did we even have to go through that whole charade?
Well, you know what I mean.
And possible drama.
Plenty drama.
But
unnecessary
really,
drama.
Was it?
We didn't need it. But, I mean, you see, the beauty about democracy is that every day we learn.
Right.
I think there's some lessons that come along as you go on. And I think it's a great thing that happened. And at least we all know where we stand now, you know what I mean. And it's really interesting that around the time when Dr. Dufour was actually contesting, his son was also contesting. In the final analysis, father lost, son lost. And so you see there was also a certain correlation, you know. But I think that genuinely, if you know that you're going to pick up forms, you know, for example, you're not going to win, why are you bothering? You understand? And you ask yourself, yes, I mean, it's ridiculous, it's mind-boggling, but hey, these things happen, so I think...
But the NDC as a party, JP, forgive me for putting you on the spot, the NDC as a party, I mean, wouldn't it... I mean, is it possible... is it looking at the possibility of saving itself? Because they say you can't fight with a man who has nothing to lose.
True.
If somebody has nothing to lose, the person will drag you to any length. What does he have to lose? But then it could cost the party. Yeah. So the NDC as a party, are you looking at that, the possibility of, you know, in the future, not now?
I think that genuinely every effort was made actually to mend fences. And even in the aftermath, I believe that President Mahama spoke about receiving phone calls from both gentlemen. The campaign convener, Professor Joshua Alabi, also received similar overtures from them. I believe that at the by-election in Kumeru, for example, we saw Dr. Dufour, who participated actively in the exercise. I also saw the former mayor, who participated also. So yes, I mean, in many ways, I think that they are trying very hard to make amends. Indeed, we saw the letter written by Dr. Dufour where he actually said that he remained a member of the NDC and that he wasn't leaving the party or anything in the aftermath. You know, look, Amma, it was simply an exercise in futility. But of course, you and I were definitely not advisors. Our opinions were not sought. Nobody even thought it fit to ask whether it was a good idea or not. But of course, I think that for our part, coming from the office of the former president, we had only one purpose: to ensure that we worked very, very hard, to ensure that we received each and every vote that was available, to ensure that we energized the base of the party, to touch on each of the 275 constituencies, even before election day.
Right.
And that's exactly what we did.
Right. I mean, so clearly, both gentlemen are still actively working within the party structure and all of that. Is it a sign of things to come, you know, for an NDC government? In an NDC government, would we see Dr. Dufour you know, play significant, active, you know, roles?
As for this one, let me take the Fifth Amendment. You know, these ones are way above my pay grade, and I'm not sure that
your pay grade is high.
Oh no, it depends on how you're looking at it and where you're seated. So certainly not. Last time I checked, This one is not part of my terms of reference.
A girl can try. A girl can try.
You are pushing very hard. But this is certainly, no way near my pay grade.
Okay, so let's come to the Kumaru elections.
Yes,
We've had two by-elections, you know, since the victory of His Excellency. Do you think it's too much too soon? Is it too much weight, you know, on a newly, I mean, we understand the nuances, but still, a newly elected, you know, flag bearer?
You know, Amma, what other choice do we have under the circumstances? You see, we are living in a certain quagmire. There is a certain dilemma that we all find ourselves in. It's almost as if you are on a boat, for example, and then you're not sure whether to conduct a general average act or to leave it to float, or whether if you leave it, it's going to sink. You are never really quite sure. Look, we are living in very, very turbulent times, under a very, very difficult and unrepentantly, you know, abysmal administration. There is enormous uncertainty, and in fact, even anxiety. If you listen to the nature of crimes that are currently being committed, things that are going on, you can tell a lot of people are very, very jittery right now. And it's the same even within our politics. Because naturally, when the leadership is shaky, when you are not, you know, when leaders are very erratic, it actually trickles down. And I think over the last few months, you can see that this inconsistent type of leadership has also dovetailed into how all of us as people react and behave under certain circumstances. You know, just to digress a little bit, this afternoon, a little crawler caught my eyes as I sat in the conference room with a client of mine. And I noticed that this was the Deputy Finance Minister, literally begging pensioners to go home. Because once more, they were at the ministry, and the ministry has not been able to make the payments. And then even after she spoke for like a few minutes, a very old gentleman said to her, you know, we have decided to vary our appearances here just to give you time to pay us. So we were here today. We'll be back. Did he say Thursday or Friday, or did he say Monday? Yes. It literally summed up in so few words and in a very short period of time just how bad things are. It encapsulated all of our anxieties in that short exchange. And I noticed there's an infographic of what she said making the rounds. That is exactly where we are. So there's all of this going on, and then you see what happened in Kumeru. So if all the money was there all along, what were they waiting for?
Right.
I mean, yes, you see, I don't want to say that other governments have not done similar things or tried to undertake these exercises one way or the other. It is the ferociousness of the onslaught. And so I ask, is this the democracy that we are all actually expecting? You ask sometimes. Look at what happened in Kumeru. I mean, look at the circumstances even leading to the demise of the poor guy. Look at the efforts he made to have them even improve on the road network in his lifetime. And as soon as the guy drops, look at all the things. But you see, they have rendered our poor even poorer. And that is the real sad aspect of all of this. You see, you look at days of Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, for example, where there was this need to bring everybody on board to be sure that every Ghanaian literally lived on a certain, baseline. You look at the days of, even in the times of the turbulence with all the military whatevers. I mean, we had Operation Feed Yourself from Echampong. We had some estates from Echampong, for example. I mean, one of the individuals in that short period of time, people actually credit with coming up with some very populist things, other than probably Jerry John Rawlings, who had a particularly long period of time in office. And I think in many ways, even that coup by Jerry John Rawlings literally sealed the fate of all other coup d'etats. And I think since the 1992 Constitution was born, we've had relative peace, uninterrupted democracy, and so you'd expect that there'll be some improvements in how we approach these things. But now we have this double-edged sword. Nobody knows where it's going to cut from, and nobody knows how it's going to cut. All you know is that there's someone who's totally mismanaged your economy, rendered your country absolutely bankrupt and insolvent, literally doesn't give a damn what you think, basically, and tells you to your face. Right. You understand? Right. And so, it's the same with the populace too. I mean, ask. You know, I told someone that in the course of the campaign, I watched how there were attempts to give people like very little few cups of rice at one point or the other. I found that very ridiculous, and I asked myself, why would someone accept this little bag of rice with somebody's little picture on it and vote for them? But think about it. If you look at the poverty index, for example, our poor have gotten even poorer. Imagine what an olonka of rice,
where it can go,
and what it can do for a family.
Right. Right.
You understand?
Right.
So you and I may find it difficult to, understand,
right.
But it makes sense. I mean, so yes, we've kept everybody poor, but we want an election, we want to win.
Right.
So what are we going to do? We'll just go in there and try and give them rice, give them soap, give them sugar.
Business as usual. I've heard, actually, let me mention, last Friday I was here with Honorable Abia Hussein, and he felt that it was a win for the NDC, regardless, the numbers. He feels that it was a win for the NDC, and he explains that the NDC numbers actually doubled, percentages doubled, and for him it's an indication of things to happen in the main election. Do you feel the same way for both by-elections? I want you to sum them together.
You know, we had a fantastic candidate.
Right.
We put up a fantastic campaign. He did his very, very best. I mean, this is a consensus where we usually get away with about 1,000, 2,000. I think we even did better than the 2,000 plus. Reason being that there was an independent candidate who actually literally split the rest of the votes with our candidate.
Right.
So imagine that independent candidate probably hadn't contested. So yes, certainly. I mean, I would say one thing. Judging by the performance of the NDC in that constituency, a particularly very hostile environment.
Right.
I've picked up conversations from some of our colleagues who participated actively even on D-Day and the sentiments that were expressed. So it makes sense. I'm looking forward to what is going to happen in Assin North, for example. It's a swing constituency. We've won it at least once, and they've won it twice. I have no reason to doubt that the NDC will retain that seat. You understand? Largely because of the circumstances, largely because of the injustice, and I love the fact that they picked a particularly fantastic theme, one that resonates with everybody across our side of the aisle, for justice and for development. This is an individual who left a village like Assin North, traveled all the way to Canada in the 70s, and the whole time he kept faith with his people. It is one of the constituencies that actually voted more for the individual on this ticket than for the ticket belonging to that individual. Because in that constituency, to the NDC flag bearers 15,000 plus votes, to the NPP flag bearers 16,000 plus votes, Kwesi actually got over 17,000 votes, performing better than both flag bearers from both political sides of the divide. So it tells you that this is a man who is with his people. These are people who are with their man, who appreciate him for who he is, for his contribution to the constituency. Look, there is so much that he has done in that place. Putting in place libraries, putting in place schools, helping with training of teachers, helping with construction of hospitals. In all the years, even before he came in to contest. And no matter what we say and how we say it, this will be one of the unfairest cuts of all in terms of our politics. And irrespective of the overly partisan environment in which we operate, it is a matter that will continue to beat the minds of many students of politics and law for many years to come.
Right.
I'm sure this is a debate that will go on and on for quite some time.
Right.
Not just to stop the man from carrying out his duties as parliament, but to eventually ask that the record of his participation be expunged from the register of parliamentarians. It is almost as if you never
Existed.
contested.
Existed.
You understand? So
Existed.
it is an election that I expect us to win.
Right.
I'm delighted at the passion and the effort that the party is putting into it at this moment. I'm happy that most of our people will be moving into the constituency to give him all the support that he needs. Look, this can be emotionally draining on an individual. I'm sure if that man were to count the costs of the last 4 years, it would be a very sad story.
That brings, and I'm sorry to catch you at this point, but that brings me straight to this issue of the level at which you operated, especially in Kumewu. You know, we are speaking about polling agents, parliamentarians, former parliament, you know, so you operated at a very top level. And I mean, the results are there for all to see. There could have been drama, but again, due to the personalities that were present in the place, is that deliberate? Will we see that, you know, sort of cut across the country for the 2024 main election?
To curb the stealing that has gone on over the years, the rigging that has gone on over the years, what you need is vigilance. It is in all of us our interests as operatives to participate in whatever way, whatever small way that any individual feels that he or she can be of help, they ought to put themselves at the beck and call of the party.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
You know, it is not so much in training. Look, sometimes there is basic intimidation. Oh yes. Look, there are times when people literally live in fear in some constituencies. So you might be a polling agent, you might be very well trained. Look at what happened in Kumo, for example, that you sign off on a pink sheet even before the elections have started. Why would that be? But yes, they pick them up from the same communities. And you know how it is in some of these communities, even to be a member of the NDC, naturally. So it's understandable. And so the only way that we can reform these sorts of things is to have persons who are bold, who are confident, who are fearless, who understand elections.
Who themselves are intimidated.
And they, exactly.
Who themselves are intimidated.
Yes.
Right.
So it's a fantastic phenomenon. I love this new energy and this sense of urgency and community spirit that we have all developed over the years. Because look, to unseat Akufo-Addo and his rigging machinery, Ama, we must take the kingdom of heaven by force.
That brings me
Let's
straight.
make no mistake.
That brings me straight to the EC.
Let's make no mistake.
Straight to the EC. I mean, before our last general elections, there was a lot of, you know, back and forth with the NDC. The NDC, I mean, categorically called out the EC for bias. This time, the rancor doesn't seem as much, unless I'm not looking at it properly. I mean, there are issues. Never, you know, I will never say that there are no issues. Birth certificates, lots of issues. But the level at which we sort of seem to be battling the EC, in my estimation, I could be wrong, please feel free to point it out to me that I'm wrong, seems to have toned down a little bit. Are we changing strategy in how we are dealing with the EC, or has the EC changed? Is the EC behaving better? Essentially, that's my question.
You know, Amma, this is a very It's a very ambiguous question, you know, and I have to navigate this one very, very carefully so that you don't create the wrong impression. Even if the EC, right, wanted to behave well, the EC appears to be pandering to the whims and caprices of government. You remember at the time when Dr. Dufo filed the injunction?
Right.
It had not even been heard. As soon as they got wind of it, they came out boldly to say that they would not be participating in the election. Everybody was surprised. It was like, what's going on here? You understand? Yeah. Even if the case ended on a Thursday night at 5 p.m., the EC should be ready to conduct that election. That is their job. The EC is an independent constitutional body set up to serve as an arbiter for elections. Political parties are a key component of our democracy. We have many cases that were won on the back of defending the Constitution. In fact, President Akufo-Addo himself, there are many cases to his credit where he felt that the MPP wasn't being treated fairly, or where he felt that there was a need to draw attention. In fact, for many years he was a perennial demonstrator, demonstrating against just about anything and everything, all because of a dream about wanting to become president one day. So ask yourselves, why would that individual today be president and want to see anything different? There was a memorandum that was circulating a few days ago that they were asking for members of the EC, other staff of the EC, to furnish the presidency with their CVs or curriculum vitae or even their resumes or whatever. The question is why? Imagine you are an EC, other rank staff even, and then you receive such a communication. Think about odd. Absolutely. Very awkward. And under the current circumstances, with deep rifts in terms of mistrust, that the EC's image is at an all-time low, when we've just gone and picked up a complete political party foot soldier and made him a commissioner. We were in the Upper East region, I believe it was in the Bolgatanga Central, when Electoral met me and said, look, Auntie Joyce, that guy was with me on the University of, campus. We used to go for these programs together. He communicates for the MPP. You understand? Everybody knows these things. So certainly, the EC itself probably is operating under enormous duress and struggling even now to assert its own independence. You see, it's almost as if you sell your soul and then suddenly you want it back. It is always a challenge. It's not so easy to do. But you see, I remember on a lighter side, I said, look, judging by what is happening on the ground, judging by the weight and burden of the hardship that we are all experiencing, where nothing appears to be working. Look, imagine the health minister crying foul about what is happening in the national health insurance and its ability even to support people who need to access health facilities. That is the health minister, the person who is nominated to be responsible for that sector. So imagine you and I, who are nobodies in the scheme of things. So there's all sorts of things going on. You take that and couple it with inflation that is at what, 54%. You understand? And then you ask yourself, where are we going to? We are carrying under the burden of an IMF program, where utilities will go up every 3 months. And you've heard that electricity bills have gone up by 18.3%. So has water. And so with many other things. In fact, there's even a big rumor that they expect even to review salaries downwards. The labor law says that you should not even vary somebody's income to their inconvenience. You can only go up, but they must stay where they are. So how do they intend to achieve that?
And yes, here we are.
Exactly.
And yes, here we are.
Under the circumstances.
Right.
So, in the space of about maybe 2 days, they eventually had to come out and conduct and supervise the elections as they were expected to do. They came out and did it. It was a good job. It was purely an internal contest. It was just for us in terms of the presidential and of course for the parliamentary. So very little acrimony except for certain, little issues here and there. It was purely a family affair. So everything went according to plan and went very, very well. And certainly, once they have given us a certain level of support, it's only fair that you express your gratitude or appreciation for their time, for their effort. Because remember that the EC is not just the ones that sit here in Accra. There's across the country with offices and branches everywhere else,
And if you'd permit me, I would like to read what was said to the EC. It says here, I also wish to thank the staff of the Electoral Commission for their support in making our parliamentary and presidential primaries a resounding success. My special thanks goes to Mr. Korku and his district election directors for working over and above the call of duty to ensure a successful election. So it looks here again like the former president again extending, an olive branch to the NDC. And like you say, I mean, good humor, good faith. Let's move along. Now, let's come to what he said about the MPs, and that's very important to me. I'll read first. It says here, incumbent members of parliament who lost their primaries must also keep your heads up. You remain a hero for the good job you have done and continue to do for our party and county. We need your experience and talents for the onerous job that faces us when the good people of Ghana give us a mandate to steer the affairs of this country once more. Above all, we need you in the remaining 1.5 years of your parliamentary mandates to carry out your duties with dedication and commitment to safeguard the interests of the Ghanaian people. I intend to meet with you as early as possible. The party needs you. We will continue to rely on you as we seek to win election 2024 and change the destiny of the suffering people of Ghana. We must remain one family. Let me emphasize on all of you as members of the NDC to rededicate yourselves, commit our energies and resources to work hard to win the 2024 elections. Now, here's my question. Somebody like the Honorable A.B. Fuseni, and I had him here on Friday for good reason. I mean, shocking to say the least. He's not the only one. Some mighty weights, not in terms of their personality, but in terms of, President John Mahama himself says, expertise, loyalty, commitment, And I said this to AB. I said, Honorable, we know, right? So I would have thought that as a party, that especially now, in terms of a split parliament, that thrives on loyalty to party to an extent. I would speak against that, but that is me. Right? But strives on loyalty to party. It's a little shocking to me that, forgive me, again, correct me at any point if you feel to, we failed to protect some, and they were replaced by, I'm the only person that can say this.
Are you expressing your biases?
Yes, everything.
In some cases?
In some cases, yes, absolutely. Because, and comment on this too, all of a sudden, the NDC had all manner of individuals strangely popping up and contesting in its elections. Some of them, even the general public, even people that are not NDC, loudly wondering who these people are, what their political credentials are, and how, suddenly they want to contest, and some of them actually won. I'm asking a very...
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the NDC not worried about this? Is this not a worrying phenomenon in the party?
First and foremost, let me say without any fear of equivocation,
right,
that the NDC as it stands now, currently, is actually the most attractive political party across the political divide. You will see so many young people, so many professionals who actually put themselves up to contest in some places where we actually don't have MPs or certain members of parliament, some often constituencies, for example. It was fantastic to have great dynamic individuals picking up forms to contest. In others, we had very dynamic women were coming on board to contest for the very first time.
Right.
In some other places too, we had people who had left Parliament and were probably coming back again and willing to contest. One of the best things was seeing the Honorable Avoka, for example,
right,
who had decided after being one of the longest serving members of Parliament that he was no longer going to contest. And I still remember the applause that greeted his announcement as one who had paid his dues, right, and was deciding to bow out very, very graciously. Everybody received the news with such admiration, because that's not a story you hear very, very often.
True.
But of course, he had been there a very, very long time. And what was surprising was the long list of young persons from all categories of professions who were waiting actually to succeed him. This is a story about progress. We're a social democratic party. But yes, there's those very painful ones that maybe in some cases even research had actually even shown that maybe there will be difficulties. Maybe we need to approach it from a certain perspective. Right. Maybe we even ought to try out new or fresh candidates. But then there's also those situations that you expected these individuals to actually be retained. You know, in terms of ABA, for example, and I'll quote him on this one. You know, when your mother dies in the marketplace, there's really no need for you to announce it.
Announce her for now.
You don't have to tell anybody, because
right,
everybody has witnessed it.
Right.
That's what happened in his case.
Right.
And I think that for the longest time, he was trending on literally all the platforms. And even there were all these very interesting other, you know, proverbs that were added to his rather very tall list. Exactly. So I'm sure that we will all remember his contributions with enormous nostalgia. We will for a very long time wonder why he didn't win. We will even expect that maybe eventually, who knows, he might want to come back. Because sometimes you see, in some of those places, they would go for someone new. And then by the next cycle, they realize, oh, we probably want him back. And then that's what happens. I also think that sometimes there's a way that Uncle Ato puts it. It has also become very aspirational for a lot of people. So you find out that someone's been there for a while, and there are a lot of young people who are all literally, it's actually very competitive. It's keenly contested. In some communities, even the one person who probably will be an individual of any repute will be the person who enters Parliament. So this makes it a very potent space for many people with such aspirations to want to unseat an incumbent so that they can also come into Parliament. You know, it's actually very glamorous. Even the attitude of the parliamentarians themselves doesn't help. I mean, when people enter Parliament, you can tell. I mean, there's always a certain, you know, a new boost to their image. There's little walls around the steps that they take. And there's a certain public image that they are even able to cut for themselves. And so, yes, who doesn't want to be? It's almost like being called to the bar. You suddenly feel that you belong to this very unique fraternity. And so,
very learned.
Absolutely.
Very learned community.
You understand? So there's that too. But yes, I love the fact that President Mahama made this call very, very early on in the day, inviting everybody to continue to support the party. Because look, we have almost another year and a half to the next election. We'll still need their participation in Parliament. We'll still need their commitment to the party. And I love the fact that I saw the Honorable A.B. Efeseni in Kumewu, for example, you know, contributing his quota. So I think that our politics has also come of age, where you should realize that just by virtue of the fact that you did not enter Parliament or that you lost your seat should not necessarily be like cause for you to be disgruntled or that you be ostracized. It is a fair contest. You get my point? Right. And sometimes it is not easy even to, you know, deny people this opportunity to contest. These days you find that whenever they are even disqualified, they go straight to court. The party has an appeals process. Once you exhaust the internal processes, you can go to court. You feel free to do so. And people take all these sorts of...
Is that something that... And here I'm asking your personal opinion.
Yeah.
Is this something that you think is healthy? This thing about anybody can wake up anytime and say, I'm contesting in this party. If the party says, no, I'm taking you to court, is it healthy? Or should the party have a few barriers in place to keep some people out?
You know, the party has guidelines. The party is run by and guided by a constitution.
Right.
The constitution actually indicates what the criteria is for people who qualify, for example, to contest. And so once you meet it, why not? But don't forget, there are also many instances where individuals have campaigned, they've picked up forms and all of that, and they've been disqualified at the point of vetting. For one reason or the other, you're not a paid-up member, people don't even recognize you. I was actually nominated to serve on the appeals committee, even though I didn't make the time because I was on the campaign with the boss. I followed on some of these conversations. There's a young lady that I actually would call maybe one of my mentees. Fantastic young woman. She was disqualified, and it was because they couldn't trace her membership. She was a member of one of these, I don't know, outside Ghana, I think, and traced her membership to that particular branch. But they cross-checked, they asked for letters, they asked for confirmation, they didn't find any. So we have all of these other ones. You know, there's a lot of them that maybe they don't even make the headlines, so you probably don't get to hear about them.
Right.
Exactly. But I don't think it is a case that it is about every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Right. No. I mean, most of the time you heard the conversations about all the young people from all walks of life, various professionals, who were actually picking forms. I mean, there's a fantastic Dr. Titus Bayo, for example, who picked forms and won in his constituency. Great material. He helped us a lot when we set up the COVID-19 health team, for example. He's a very active member of one of the party's committees. And, I mean, I think that he's cut his teeth and believes that he can serve his people better by going into parliament. My good friend Edward Bauer lost. I mean, we were with him the whole of that period. There was no sign that Edward was going to lose at the primary.
Quite strange.
Yes, exactly. Fantastic individual, great professional, affable guy, you know, very hard-working, very committed, very loyal.
Been around for a while.
Exactly. I mean, there's an interesting example of my own crush, Dr. Ayine, for example, who had his own classmate picking up forms to contest.
Right.
Yes. But I love the way he carried it. You know, Dominic is a man with enormous flair and enormous wisdom. Right. He brought him onto the stage. He embraced him. He was very warm and, you know, told the story about their lives together and all of that. He still prevailed. So there's also dynamics that come into play. And, you know, there's also other considerations also. There's many other things that play out even at the constituency level, at the branch level. And then there's just some people that maybe they're not even ready, but still want to come and contest. You know, so there's also things. The best option is not always to disqualify people unless they have failed on one or two of the requirements, really, under the circumstance. But otherwise, once people are qualified, it is why we go through the vetting process. It is actually so you can find out just whether someone is qualified or is not. But you see, the constituencies themselves would normally even petition against some individuals. They check through the register, maybe they don't even know you. So there's all sorts of things that go on. But I think that all in all, we lost, I think, about, was it 17 members of parliament? That's quite a number.
That's a number.
Yes, that's quite a number.
That's
and,
a substantial number.
Absolutely, some of our very, very experienced ones.
Right.
Of course, you know, but I'm sure that there are many other roles that they can actually serve in. There are many ways they can continue to support the party. And like I said, there's some who probably don't even want to go into parliament, who will never enter parliament, but they still contribute their quota. And the biggest commitment or the biggest objective, I might say, should be the willingness to participate in the process to win us power. We are actually in very, very difficult circumstances. The malaise that we all want to fight is what we have in government today. It is just not a government that fits purpose. And so if we all want to collectively work hard to remove them, then we must overlook the fact that I've lost an election. Doesn't mean that you're no longer a member of the party. Your standing is actually even higher because you're a former member of parliament. I mean, look at our party chairman today, for example. Right. he was a former member of parliament. Our General Secretary, the Honorable Fifi Kwete, is a former member of parliament. It actually puts you on a certain pedestal. It puts you in good stead. You are recognized. You are identified as a future leader in any capacity in which you want to serve. I think that that also should be reason for them to have some pride in themselves and continue to support as they've always done. The secret really is not to give up or be demoralized or disgruntled because you lost it. And sometimes that is why the party is also, you know, unable to be heavy-handed, so that you win, you've won. If you lose, you have lost.
You really lost.
Exactly. And then you don't come back and blame.
But for interference, I might have won,
exactly.
or I might not have
so
won.
sometimes it is. And of course, I mean, like I said, one of the most popular losses that night was certainly that of the Honorable ABA Fuseni. And all of us probably wondered what happened, what went wrong, and all of that. But ABA is a fantastic individual, fantastic material, writes well, speaks well, is passionate about his social democratic credentials. And I have no doubt in my mind that he still has a lot of energy in him to continue to support all of us as we go along. And I like the fact that he has continued to engage very closely. And the boss is meeting them in the next few days to have a conversation with those of them who lost. He'll also be meeting those who actually have been retained. And what we want really is just that force to go forward to secure this election.
Absolutely. Yes. So that brings me, you know, to this thing about the internal structures of the party. Looking from outside, again, correct me at any point if you think I'm, you know, on a frolic of my own that has no factual basis. It doesn't look as though, I mean, it looks as though there is some rancor, you know. There's what happened in Parliament with Haruna Idrisu and the newly elected, you know, majority leader. There's the seeming, you know, rancoring between the past chairman and the new chairman, both excellent men in their own rights. You know, I could go on and on. There's the video of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama himself addressing the North, you know, the Northern Caucus, so to speak, and speaking about there was a generation before me, they did, yes, it's our generation, we will leave, the next generation would come, there's, I don't have favorites, I can work with everybody. And in their video, we see the Honorable Haruna Idrisu seated Northern, we see Honorable ABA Fuseni, we see, you know, some very notable faces in the video. I mean, there seems to be internal, help me, I can't find my words, within the NDC.
You're not one to be struggle with words. I mean, maybe you're trying very hard to say something that you probably don't want to say.
I am thinking twice about saying,
exactly,
and you know, sure checking myself, yes, even as I proceed.
Yes.
But you understand what I mean?
No, I get you. I understand you. And I mean, look, be that as it may, there have been a few changes here and there. There's only one thing that is dynamic, and that is that change will come.
Right.
Is it easy to embrace change? The answer is no. Is it easy even sometimes to accept change, even when it's inevitable? The answer is no. In any case, the same individuals could even have lost their seats and lost those positions even in Parliament, naturally, because of attrition of having lost your seat. So it means that you will no longer be in these committees, you will no longer be on the front bench, etc. So there's that too. But you see, there's also the other side, which is that no matter how democratic an exercise, once there is that heated contest, naturally, there's always going to be some simmering tensions, understandably. I mean, I love the fact that the outgone chairman, for example, has been participating in some of the general activities. For example, he was in Tamale, he was in the Eastern region when we arrived there. He joined us for the Thanksgiving service for President Mahama at his church 2 weeks ago. And I think that is beautiful. I believe that the chairman currently himself is actually working very, very hard to build bridges in and around the party. And you know, he is also a very seasoned politician. So I'm sure he knows exactly how to handle some of these things. It is also one of the things that happens in a democracy. Remember, for example, before our perennial demonstrator became president or flag bearer, finally, what happened? People lost their lives. For example, their party chairman, the original chairman in the Upper East region. There were also issues. The then general secretary and chairman were both suspended right up until when he won. And even still, he brought in his own friend and right-hand man, who we all believe was even a CPP person, to serve as party chairman, the Honorable Freddie Blay. He survived all that. Remember the incidents at the party headquarters of the MPP, for example? There was mayhem. Deep rifts. There were all sorts of things. All because of this desperation to win power. At the time, we all didn't know why. Years later, I'm sure all of us are better apprised now of why one individual was so desperate to become president. And as soon as he became president, you can see the recklessness even in the way the promises were made. You could tell most of these were not even well thought out. But you know, there was a certain euphoria. And that euphoria literally almost propelled them to that win. But go back and examine some of the promises. And he will tell you they were very shallow, ill thought out. That this is just a conversation because I want people to just give me what I want. And as soon as we got what we wanted, what happened? Do you recall the speech President Akufo-Addo made on the day that the Honorable Matnamidu was sworn in as the first Special Prosecutor of Ghana? I'm sure most people probably have forgotten. They probably pushed it into the recesses of their memories. In the aftermath and in the fallouts with the Honorable Matnamidu, what does that tell you? That it was never the intention to fight corruption, not on any level. It was just a smokescreen to create an impression, because there was still this, who were not too sure what was going on. And then we got a second one. What has changed? Same. So sometimes I think that, you know, there is something we try not to do, and I tell people all the time that there is one reason why in serving John Mahama, I do it very passionately, not because of what other people see or think, but maybe because I have experienced him in many ways that I probably didn't even think that I experienced until I came to work with him so closely. A very sensitive man. And above all, that is one human being that arrogance probably shies him and is nowhere near him. You understand? And on every debate, you'll be surprised that President Mahama will be the one to come in with the very pragmatic outlook and question whether you think that is workable or not. And I come back to this point I've made so many times. He fought so hard to resolve Dumso that in the end, he literally sank himself in finding a solution. And even when the solution was eventually found, if you remember, it was so ridiculed and so weaponized that people did not even see the effort that had gone into securing car powership and into securing Ameri, just to keep the lights on under very difficult circumstances. So there is also that extent that an opposition party will go to win an election by hook or by crook. Make all the highfalutin promises, tell all the lies, just because you want to flow. I mean, perennial lies can eventually begin to sound like truth in some ears. If you say it so often, if you repeat it enough. I mean, look at the charlatan, you know, the shenanigans at the time of daring even to question a man who was formerly a governor of the BOG and demanding answers from him for 170 questions. If you put those same questions today to President Akufo-Addo or to his vice president, 10 of them, and give them 10 minutes, I'm sure they can't give you answers.
Right. You were speaking to the person of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and how he's handling the North. It's important to me. I'm sorry that I'm coming back to it. And how he's handling the first of all, is there wahala in the North? And is it being solved? Or do you think that the way it's being solved is permanent?
I really don't think there's any wahala
Okay.
in the North. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No. And in terms of if there's any friction between President Mahama and anybody else, I don't think so. I mean, you saw the very beautiful introduction by the Honorable Haruna Idrisu.
Right.
Indeed, his constituency gave John Mahama 100% in that internal contest. Engaged him, we had very interesting conversations the whole time we're up there in the northern region. I didn't sense anything.
Not the person of the ex-presidents, but I mean, in the leadership of the North.
Who is in the leadership? The same people are in the leadership.
Okay.
There is him, there's the MPs. You know all of them. You know Haruna Idrisu, you know Honorable Suhini, you know, basically you know all of them. I mean, ABF Fisini until recently, you know him. And then, of course, all the others. I don't sense that there's anything unusual per se. And I expect us to do very, very well, largely because of the deception. You understand?
Right.
I mean, everybody, you know, look, the king is naked. As simple as that. This is where most of these promises were made. I mean, you and I know about one district, one dam. You've seen what happened. You saw the documentary about how those dams are fed. You get me?
Right.
You
right.
watched about each constituency getting what?
Right.
$1 million. If indeed each constituency were going to get that $1 million, we won't be having this conversation.
Right.
There's so much filth that's engulfed a lot of these constituencies because the district assemblies don't have any money. You understand? It is almost as if Ghana ends when you leave portions of the Ashanti region.
Right.
And everywhere else, it's almost as if there's no central government because you don't see anything that goes on there.
Right.
Go to the University for Development Studies, the campus in Navrango, that was renamed. Even the road right in front of it. And it is why President Mahama, actually being the historian that he is, remarked about the history behind launching his campaign at the University for Health and Allied Sciences in the Volta region, and then coming to conclude it by accepting to be flag bearer at the UDS in Tamale.
Right.
UDS was born out of the sacrifice by Jerry John Rawlings, and University of Health and Allied Sciences by President John Evans Atta Mills. Give me one example of a public university that was constructed by the New Patriotic Party or even by this current administration. They promised you 350 what? Senior high school buildings out of envy and jealousy that the E-blocks had taken center stage. They literally demonized them by look, there's one that they had announced so many times that was in the bush. We drove past, I had to ask my colleague, I said, did they not say that this school was in the bush? I looked around. The school was bursting at its seams, filled to capacity. The propaganda was very well organized. It was serialized. The lies were told so many times that they began to sound like truth until everything began to unravel. And you see, the lies have continued. And because they benefited enormously from these lies, they don't realize that a lot of people see them for what they are.
Exactly. I want to bring in a few of our viewers at this point. We are live on Facebook, and so, I want this to be as interactive as possible. Amiyawu Isa says, when the voice of the people speaks, Ghanaians listen. Bright Nubania says, Honorable Joyce Bawa Muktari Esquire, inshallah, your hard work shall not be in vain. I see all of you watching. I see you. I want to read a few of the comments. Right. Kasim Abdullah Dayonga says, please, Amma, point of correction. No constituency did any candidates just come to contest. All those that lost, especially from all the northern regions, knew very well their chances were very slim but took risk, and others just didn't work towards it. Amma, we disagree. We disagree on this one, so let's just keep it moving. But yeah, I respect your opinion.
Amma has disclosed her biases towards some specific individual.
Right.
We can allow her.
Please allow me. Please allow me. This one is from Al Ghani Wealthy, and it says, awesome presentation, Madam Joyce Bawa Muktari. This one is from Telma Eddie Kwati. She says, when is GM coming to the US? This one says, this from Anakwa Benson says, my sister, you are indeed blessed by the God of JDM. Right, so, no questions so far. I thought you bring in your questions so that, Madam Joyce Bawa Muktari could answer them. But let me go straight here. You are a valued member of the GM team, I mean, number 2. These days that we insist on numbers in this country. I would say you are the real number 2. Are there any special events planned for, the rest of the year? And I'm asking this because, we're in the thick of campaign. Yeah. He's been chosen as the flag bearer of the party, now the leader of the party. Yeah. What's to be expected from the camp of JDM?
Well, you know that once he becomes, flag bearer and leader of the party, today, for example, he went for the functional executive committee meeting. Right. He chaired the meeting in place of the party chairman, and largely because there's a conversation around how to prosecute the campaign in the Asin North constituency, for example. That is a very, very important item on our calendar for the month. So naturally, everybody is attaching all the seriousness and urgency to the matter as is required. So there's that. But in the whole period, he's continued to engage various groups. He's met some members of parliament, some key stakeholders. There's all these social things, there's funerals. So there's always one activity or the other. To be honest, once the contest is over, it just never stops. And in fact, a few days ago, I was actually reminding him that he would have to find time to actually take a break so he can at least rest, re-energize, and then come back. Because I'm sure by the month of July, for example, the campaign will probably be in full flight all over again. And then don't forget also that there's all these international engagements that he also undertakes in his role and capacity as a statesman. So, for example, he'll be going to Europe soon to engage the party's branch in parts of Europe. He will do them with other members of the party, for example. And then they just keep going on. So, yes, the lady said, when is he coming to the U.S.? There's been an invitation from the U.S. for a very long time. I'm sure at some point towards the end of the year, he'll be honoring that invitation. And so there's always one activity or the other. But I think in all of it also, there's all the strategy sessions also. The choice of a campaign committee, the choice of various officers of the party.
The choice of running mates.
The elected
the choice of
officers.
Running mates.
There's that too, but you see
the choice of running
there's
mates,
that
madam.
too. Absolutely.
Right,
and,
right.
So there's also things to do. And, apart from that, there's also thinking about the future. What is it that we need to do? How do we need to do it? What are the things we need to harness? What are the things that we need to actually work on or improve? The biggest conversation in the room now is about how, and he made this promise to decentralize the campaign because there was a pilot even in the course of the internal contest.
Right.
Each and every region had its own campaign team. And you see how it all worked together and was very, very effective and efficient. He even promised rewards for constituencies that brought in the most votes. What it would mean then is that the constituency has actually worked very hard. And then he also made all these pledges about the welfare of executives of the party and promised even to improve the value chain in terms of logistics. You know, there are lots of things that we don't normally think about. When you deploy logistics, for example, party paraphernalia, there are some that never get used. People probably not use them. Some people just take them and for whatever reason decide they're not going to use them.
They hold them as souvenirs.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, there was a time when I was looking for party t-shirts. Believe you me, I won't mention names or where. To my utter surprise, this guy had t-shirts from as far back as 2008. I thought, what's going on here? So when you hear these conversations, you may think, oh, how? But it is true. It happens. So there's all these arrangements going on. There is also now the responsibility also of spearheading affairs of the party as flag bearer. But the best part is that when you have an experienced party chairman, an experienced general secretary, you know you can rely on them. So the man is not one of those who even participates all the time in the FEC meetings, for example. Or he has also got the Elders Council that he also participates in. So there's all these stakeholder engagements that are going on. There's the work in Parliament, for example. So day in, day out. And of course, to every policy that you have in place now, if it's bad, you also have to think of an alternative. And
Absolutely.
the biggest conversation in Ghana now is how to fix what? The economy. Nothing beats that right now.
And he writes eloquently on that in this, even in this one. He writes very extensively.
Yes.
If you may, perhaps that would be a whole conversation for another time. If I haven't been too mischievous today, you could you could grant me, you know, the pleasure of your company again to look at that. But I want to know. We are hearing things. We are hearing, you know, whispers and the, you know, we are hearing. Are we, Mr. Shafa, the running mates? And I've been trying to get this out of you forever. You know, are we maintaining? Are we maintaining, or are we changing the running mates?
Oh, you're talking about,
there's so much conversation.
About the running mates.
Yes, there's so much conversation about this in town. Everybody has an opinion.
Oh, but it's normal. I mean, opinions are like onions. There's so many layers.
And noses. Everybody's entitled to one.
And eyes and ears. And choice of words and name it.
Right.
And like I say, see, John Mahama is one of those very dynamic individuals, very tolerant, open to all sorts of conversations. You'll be surprised. Sometimes in a day, probably he's keeping up maybe about 10 conversations. And you know, I tell you all the time, I am not number 2 or number 3 or number anything. You know, I'm just someone who is happy to serve. And like I say, Ama, if you put me in this little corner and you give me an assignment, I will perform it to your admiration for as long as you are willing and happy to let me do it. That's not a problem. And it didn't start maybe just by working with John Mahama. It's been my whole career trajectory. The way I run my life, that's how I run my workspace. And I'm one too who is not prone to all these unnecessary stereotypical conversations. You know, I don't even care that you don't like me. I don't even mind that you're talking about me behind my back, to be honest. I'm past those sorts of things. I just mind my business. And I learned one thing to avoid a lot of conversations with a lot of people, because then it's easier to just stay in the middle. And I've made some fantastic friends too, who come in handy as and when you need that support. And when it comes to, you know, decisions that are within the remit or purview of a flag bearer at any given time. Look, take for example Professor Mills of blessed memory. He started off with the Honorable Mohamed Mumuni. He had the Honorable Martin Amidou at some point, and then John Mahama was the third in that particular, you know, campaign. Nanado and Baumia contested at least twice and lost before they won. So there's always these dynamics. In terms of John Mahama, he had a misata, but the circumstances were slightly different. Because unfortunately, Professor Mills had passed, and so then governor of the Bank of Ghana became his vice president as a very distinguished member of the party who had served in various capacities, and then they both prosecuted the 2020.
Truly African.
Another absorbing episode of Street Talk right here on Pan-African Television. As usual, one will spend our day with people on the street as we discuss the bane of road accident. It will interest you to know that between January and March this year alone, the country has lost close to 800 able-bodied persons to road accidents. While this number surpasses that of COVID-19 casualties from last year since its entrance to this year, this shocking revelation by the Motor Traffic and Transport Directorate of Ghana Police Service suggests to us that the problem of road accidents must be looked at critically. We need to step up our efforts towards stamping out this canker from our society. So we're going to discuss this with the people on the street. So join us. My name is Karis and it's going to be very insightful. Meanwhile, you can also join as we stream on Facebook. Put your comments there and join in the discussion. Fred, welcome to Street Talk. I just saw you crossing, using the zebra crossing. How difficult or easy was it?
Well, for me, it wasn't so difficult because I had to wait, be patient, and then see whether it is very clear for me to go. And then that made it a bit easy for me to pass by.
And you're yet to cross this one. Do you think it's going to be
the same method? I'm going to wait for a car to pass by, and if it's clear for me to move, I move. I sometimes have to wait for over a minute or over 2 minutes before passing by, because sometimes when cars are coming by that side, you will not be able to go. And they will also not wait for you to pass before you go. So it sometimes takes a little time before you can go by. Sometimes a person will have to sacrifice, come into the zebra crossing, raise the hand for the cars coming by to wait. Sometimes there was an incident that a car nearly knocked a certain man here. I was just standing by. Right here. He just tried to come forward to stop the car. The car did not mind, so he had to rush back. And we were all exhorting the driver because this is a zebra crossing. And a zebra crossing should let you know that when people are about to cross, you have to wait for them to go by. And I believe there's no signs or something that There was some time back, there was this campaign that you hold something for the driver to see what you want to do. But there are no things like that here. So it's sometimes difficult, honestly. Yeah. The major advice I can give is discipline. You just have to be disciplined. You know, drivers know the signs, they know the road signs that they have to be using. And we, the pedestrians too, we also have to be patient. We have to discipline ourselves. Sometimes you see a car coming and someone will be rushing to pass by. It might knock you. So we just need to be disciplined. Just have the calm and then we move on.
Thank you very much, Fred. I pray for safe crossing for you. All right.
Oh, like I said, DVL from we and Church Palma drivers because we knew the importance of zebra crossing. And two Bejano and Fatakasa and Far Crossia, Capian Obejinamo. And the Takasina crossing, I said we and Church Palma drivers, or who the reason why we are zebra crossing. Not just a footbridge or until zebra crossing or how being to be more. Now, okay, so be Chuma, no the speed, episode Chum. Because zebra crossing say, although one traffic light and I say we buy zebra crossing, and I say be Chum no Jinamo, I say to be Jirano crossing and say, why would you? But where the own Jina, until about free no Janico.
Road instruction now, Yedema Dova for no. Be this was said by accident basis because on say Udru baby a road sign by baby a crossing. Also Mudo Motombo. Inside was a moment in the Pagina will be a crown become the Casama accident aba. I was also Nipana Yajam Sibia monster pono. Omunina now sell a bar no baby walk on board as or do or cross on second bechem. Now I day can't be to know them and so can use net at the accident aba. And Mr. Won say Omun road sign I am Omonye Omontombo said by Ombe make sure say be accident basis ABC.
Okay, what I can say is, you know, most of our drivers on the high street, I don't think they pay attention to the road signs and the regular. Like for instance, you see there is a zebra crossing here. Very good, but when they are crossing, when they are passing by and they see pedestrians ahead, like alongside the road, they are not ready to stop. And so what the pedestrians also do is they just time the cars. Okay, this car is far away. I think I can cross before it gets to. Sometimes you are not lucky. There's a car speeding off and it just hits off, and that's why it causes most of the road accidents.
So what advice for motorists and even pedestrians?
Okay, what I can say is the best option. I think on this road they've had a whole lot of demonstrations and everything. So the best way, we Ghanaians, I don't know what's wrong with us. The best way, if we could use the overpass, fine, so that we all save ourselves from troubles, because Ghanaian drivers, you know how they do their things. Everybody is in a haste. So that is the best way. Because targeting a car, whether it's far away or close for you to cross, I don't think it's the best idea. But look at the distance. You see where the overpass is and this one. It feels like, let me go. It's a whole lot of waste of time. And I don't even get it, the reason why they did this zebra crossing. So if there's a zebra crossing here, then you should know that the people will be crossing. You understand?
When said yeah, actually was say cut me back say the doors was say to was as na chuma sana ko ba e be mo wa on like ko jam ma ba e so wa jina no e bet me cause accident
accident doors no e afuto be na wa mo crossing road na any drivers and so mo
e was say nya to was na hwe so ye the we are met me across the coin.
What's a Nana Willie? What Bacope, original one?
Originally, yeah, pedestrians need be air casse. Aya drivers no more stop here ma mo even so mo use zebra crossing no come stop here ma o I know you be na mo and I said then am so mo ka fa
you person na yegina na mo ma de ba ko ha na Ghana police for say sam yi ma ben to work you na to work police ni won ye da no police say say no wa sada wa de for nose mask na mi do apam junction ada wa say nose mask what on 10 cedi and so go ya de bia e de hanky part to hwan na go yi Ghana police for na ada what the end am is how high driver for the this are na de mesremu yen says no ya no ojo bi ni car police nti Ghana police for wo high abai mo show nso so nto work wo ske Ghana police for 18 won me yim say ya na eto work yo
oh kan bendo
Ghana police for this bus stop be na wala atel no wo tel wo bus stop na wo gina ho na igina ho wala atel no wo tel wo won nam traffic no wo ye say yen yim yan fa yen wo nka driver so me ma wo license na de nka o de Ghana mla ma okwa na ye adwuma na ye kita license okwa na ye ya wala wa atel
watch on that on car reason be that reason I can sell dent ya watch
me na bus stop wala atel bus stop wo nya last 1 minute bezi na nya bus stop 1 minute e bia o car na say overheating e pedo car na odwe na nka din sugum na nka ko police wa atel na police mo de yen ni me dan
oh yeah sure
oh mami so I'm talking from experience me in America no when you know if you about to abu abi se mbotuma anado tebedo me in America in America Ghana what 80
see then police for ya if you say it contributes to road accident
police for the enkai dey be bo an say omonche at the right time obi ono baby a obegina no ono ani tia say baby a wagina na nkan wo say wo chiw but because of say wa be to so no nko a de e water won stop no onyu sika
accident wo tun wo dina car funu wo dey stop car main road long journey wo dina car funu wo stop car wo replace aba then ihu na at once wo dey break e bia car no do etu no yim na e bia wo bia bibi de mi ban o da abo ori afun obotum ato car na atin wo dina car funu wo stop car dan no wo ye na inu ka no wo accident bebre
say police for so say o mo tete na o mo chi instead of saying ko begina bus stop na driver hu say o police gina hante o say me twam no o te akote baby uduru wona wani na wuzu na no wapie say machew say ho no mekura na yem paake wo ho no ma na say yenyina ho a police e wo say wunyina ho na driver ni hu o betwam enkote e say na ko say mla no mo ni mo mla no mo amode mo pe na mo de eye mla no
today na drivers most mobile ya road accident besi akofom
ayan so say o mo di o mo mla so ayan so e be di mla because we mo say yes road sign ya de aye nyina ye hwe na ye de drive but ayo bi ho no ma road sign bo ana say e bi wa abu e bi wa nye eno de o mo hwe na o mo nsiesie na o mo nye ba wo ko gina ho no mo a bi ko meme e bi wa meme e bi amefa wa che me nim say abu me nim say road sign bi so e kire say ye nyina ho mi gina ho na police beto me wo say mama chew me so me hu road sign bi e ti wo e kire say e won say me nyina ho
road sign is no dia wo ho no so what ya say there
road sign dey say the Michael Jimmy lines ko ada ya kire me road sign dey kire bia say me hu nko ada ya me hu dey kire na say nsi wa e ye problem say e say ya omonye mu siesie
original if you say bia yama drivers enko formal go through formal education na yama drivers say dan go school like formal education so na certify o no
ani driver for the pain problem o me ni na ja dam ko fu tuntun wo do a police for one ordinary wo do driver for any problem driver yin bi o kita license be bia driver yin bia nyim road sign ba mo ten na be bia ma wo ye bi say ya wonye obi o nyim say na road bridge o nyim adase adna abu and ma rusu bia o kwa no for da nti no kwa no de hu bo na kese car pose na road bridge o kwa no so adase wona kwanse botum ese o nti ese o nka road sign ma say bia wonye me no dey post for na be nto o ka won fu scam o ni wonya ya tete
ya kakra passengers for so obu wa onim say ebia wa ma mate ni sika wa ka kire say ebia mesi wa ha mate ni nipa ne dozo no wagege omusika nti wo say wo ko ni nyina wo prompt no say ebia yeduru bus stop we a mesi yeduru bus stop we a mesi on kan o watwam awie no no wa ka say mesi ebia ho nso ye nyina ho omo so kan ho ne ma police for nso ye de echi ye no passengers for no obu obetna kan ma obemiemi ne phone so saa bia wo kokora no na adwe afiri so wo de ne twam pa na no na ne bu afu se wa nyina wo ba bia o ka se obesi no na se wo de ne twam a na ne bu afu omo kan ebi wa otimi go break na ka be so dia be dey abepem moto because obu wa they were afi na nani aba no so me no phone so afi na nani aba wo ho say ye de na twam afi obatiam nto otiam driver so ebi a unim say ebi a bibi na sku be bo obetia break at once we na opese won si keke na ka be so the speed if we achieve ba na dey about to na the accident na ayere aba the passengers for so far as I unim say ebi a me kwa ha unim destination awoko nti we say we make sure say baby a me ko no me pay attention that be ya me do who ametuma si say asumdue ma enko fa problem bia em driver passengers for me ma police chien omo chien ngina gina passengers for so obu ono ma
na say say no yin car no yin ya de fa bus stop no nyina wo obu ka gina baby
put over now my passengers no so and drivers now most stop you
passengers no ya be there ya ka tell one there passenger be off car control driver so driver so the go do concentration or the car passengers be will control here on so yan them driver na driver you for one driver traffic while see him na car kwan ya choke the traffic is just am can come to fam but passenger be catch them the driver na ya cherodo ya them and go for bus so e ko ni si when him na car ya sprinter mframa na eji wo kwan ho and so passenger both my control da ma bo na ka mistake and they say one passengers no e bring e kan on the for car ya din na train so driver no ko ngo te on bo bi nutu no you wrong overtaking bia na on Samsung ko over speed bia ye din na train men control ja no on fa na de no concentrate no kaka no fa ngodo ni wan ko no okito odoso driver na so wo kra ona so wo mana ye they say one passengers no e ya won ya botel men ya na efo ya na edo ko ya na edo ba nti ya won ya botel men kaka mo waka ne.
Hello Abena, so have you been a victim of road accident?
Yes.
Tell us, how did it happen?
Oh, I was crossing and actually the car supposed to come on my left, but I was watching my right and I was crossing. So, and the driver too was talking on the phone. So when I was coming in, the car hit me. And the driver was making noise and stuff like that. So I didn't even mind him, so I left.
And what did you do? What did you do from there? Did you report the police, go to hospital?
Actually, my mom was like, we shouldn't mind him, so it was my problem, also the driver's problem, so.
It was your fault. All right, so what advice do you have for pedestrians and motorists in order to help us control the problem of road accidents?
Okay, I would say that the drivers especially, they should stop being on phone calls and always they should fasten their seat belts, and let's say some of them they drink also, so they're supposed to stop and follow the road safety and all that.
Okay, and the pedestrians, for instance, you are saying that it was your fault. It means that some people, you are representing others who have also become victims of that because they were not careful. What advice do you have for those people? And share with us how you felt, how painful it was, so that others can take lessons from it.
Okay. So if they are walking and there's a zebra crossing, they should follow it. And also, if there's a place for you to walk where cars are not supposed to pass, are supposed to walk there. And I also felt bad, and also it was really painful, my leg. Yeah, so I have some fault too with my leg. So I'll say that they should keep calm and watch the road signs and follow it.
All right, so we don't want beautiful girls like you and boys out there to become victims of road accidents. It's very terrible. Now, perhaps you and your loved ones have or have not been victims of road accidents. The onus still lies on all of us to come together to conscientize others about road safety regulations. And it is also a clarion call on the MTTD to also step up their efforts towards helping us control this problem of road accidents. The program has been Street Talk. My name is Karis. We're going to meet again next week.
I know free well crowd. Oh, here, some problem there here plenty. The car, they hit somebody. If you cross, no go great for you. They hit. Every day they hit somebody. Here they no good. Let's go cross this thing, the footbridge. Yes.
As women achieve power, the barriers will fall. As society sees what women can do, as women see what women can do, there'll be more women out there doing things and we'll all be better off for it. Ladies, it's time for the biggest annual celebration of women. Join us for the 4th edition of the most prestigious Women Empowerment Summit in Ghana. Theme, The Future Can Be Different. Date, Friday, the 9th of June 2023. Venue, National Theatre. Speaking as change makers, Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency. Honorable Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins, Member of Parliament for the Klote Kole constituency. Sami Ewuku, Director General of the National Lottery Authority. Na Ashoko, Media Personality. Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah, Minister of Information. Tracy Owusu Ado, CEO of Brave Consult Ghana. Portia Gabo, Broadcast Journalist, TV3. Jifatega, Deputy National Women's Organizer, NDC. Araba Kumsin, Broadcast Journalist, Joy News. Hayford Siao, CEO, Ghana Library Authority. Kate Ado, PRO, Parliament of Ghana. Judith Kato Anderson, CEO, 2927 Restaurant and Event Center. Inspirational speakers, Honorable Shelley Ayokoboche, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Yao Nsako, Executive Vice President, Unilever Ghana and Nigeria. And all the way from South Africa, Pakameli Hulibi Majola, spokesperson of the National Union of Metal Workers, South Africa. It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027-430-9099, 027-430-9099. Ladies, come, let's continue to hold up the sky. Be there.
I am Honorable Alhaji A.B. Fuseni, Member of Parliament for Sandarugu, Ranking Member on Communications. I invite you to the Obasma program at the National Theatre. I do so in the full knowledge that Obasma is a very important program which has widespread implications for our national development. I am keenly aware that it is expected to empower women, and when we talk about empowering women, we are talking about enhancing the progress and well-being of the majority of our population, given the inescapable fact that women constitute more than half of the population of this country, and to empower more than half of the population of this country is a very monumental leap forward in our task to ensure the socio-economic progress and well-being of our people. Obasma has shown a pointer in the years gone by that it has a capacity to make this very meaningful contribution to the progress and well-being of our women. I endorse it fully, and I encourage you to take part in this process of ensuring that our women attain their full potential in the socio-economic development of our country, so that we move into the next decade with our women fully liberated and their potentials and creative energies put to work for the service of Mother Ghana. Obasma is the way.
It's time to join us at the National Theatre on the 9th of June 2023 for the biggest annual celebration of women on the theme, The Future Can Be Different.
It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027-430-9099, 027-430-9099.
Hey ladies! Ladies, come, let's continue to hold up the sky. Be there.
Hi, my name is Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. I'm the Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency and also the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament. The Obasima Summit has become a very inspiring platform that rallies our women and really promotes very relevant issues towards the empowerment of women and indeed humanity in general. And I have been particularly impressed at the dedication, the organization, and the impact that the Obasima concept is achieving in our country. This year, I am determined to be part of Obasima, which comes off at the National Theatre. I look forward to meeting you there. Let us all continue to promote gender inclusivity, empowerment, and to ensure that even as men, we serve as a strong support. We should amplify the role and the importance, the significance of our women and all the great things that they stand for. Where will we be without our women? So let us support them and let us partner them to achieve even greater impact in the years ahead. Congratulations and see you at the Obasima Summit.
It's time to join us at the National Theatre on the 9th of June 2023 for the biggest annual celebration of women on the theme, The Future Can Be Different.
It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027 430 9099. 027 430 9099.
Hey ladies! Ladies, come let's continue to hold up the sky. Be there.
Hello there. My name is Bolare, CEO of EIB Network, and I'm inviting you to the National Theatre. It's the biggest women empowerment summit, the Obasima Summit, and I want to see you there. 4 p.m. at the National Theatre, and I'd like to rally support for this great program. Congratulations to the organizers. Yes, you've come a very long way, and we're proud of you.
It's time to join us at the National Theatre on the 9th of June 2023 for the biggest annual celebration of women on the theme, The Future Can Be Different.
It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027 430 9099. 027 430 9099.
Hey ladies! Ladies, come let's continue to hold up the sky. Be there.
My name is Joyce Bawa Mukhtari. I am a lawyer and special aide to former President John Dramani Mahama. I have for the last few years been a patron of the Obasima project. Indeed, as its name suggests, it actually speaks to its founder, an awesome, distinguished Obasima herself, who thought of this fantastic idea to promote ideas that actually nurture the girl child or women generally. Indeed, as a woman very passionate about the rights of the girl child and females generally, I have always participated actively in the Obasima project. First and foremost, as a citizen of Ghana, as a woman who cares about what happens to the woman or the girl child, and above all because I agree with Amma that something ought to be done to shape the course of women generally in Ghana. So on my behalf, I invite all of you to join us where we will be bringing the curtains down on months of activities leading up to culmination of the Obasima Summit. So certainly a fantastic opportunity for you to learn, for you to engage, for you to meet equally awesome female leaders. An experience like no other. It is absolutely free of charge.
It's time to join us at the National Theatre on the 9th of June 2023 for the biggest annual celebration of women on the theme, The Future Can Be Different.
It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027-430-9099. 027-430-9099.
Ladies, come let's continue to hold out the sky. Be there.
I'm Kojo Yankson, and I love women. That's why I'm going to be at the Obasima Summit in Accra, so I can be a part of the conversation about how women are changing the world. I'll see you there at 6 p.m.
It's time to join us at the National Theatre on the 9th of June 2023 for the biggest annual celebration of women on the theme, The Future Can Be Different.
It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027-430-9099. 027-430-9099.
Ladies, come let's continue to hold out the sky. Be there. As women achieve power, the barriers will fall. As society sees what women can do, as women see what women can do, there'll be more women out there doing things, and we'll all be better off for it. Ladies, it's time for the biggest annual celebration of women. Join us for the 4th edition of the most prestigious Women Empowerment Summit in Ghana. Theme, The Future Can Be Different. Date, Friday, the 9th of June 2023. Venue, National Theatre. Speaking as change makers, Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency. Honorable Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins, Member of Parliament for the Klote Kole constituency. Sami Ewuku, Director General of the National Lottery Authority. Na Ashoko, Media Personality. Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah, Minister of Information. Tracy Owusu Ado, CEO of Brave Consult Ghana. Portia Gabo, Broadcast Journalist, TV3. Jifatega, Deputy National Women's Organizer, NDC. Araba Kumsin, Broadcast Journalist, Joy News. Hayford Siao, CEO, Ghana Library Authority. Kate Ado, PRO, Parliament of Ghana. Judith Kato Anderson, CEO, 2927 Restaurant and Event Center. Inspirational speakers, Honorable Shelley Ayokobotre, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Yao Nsako, Executive Vice President, Unilever Ghana and Nigeria. And all the way from South Africa, Pakameli Hulibi Majola, spokesperson of the National Union of Metal Workers, South Africa. It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027-430-9099. 027-430-9099. Ladies, come, let's continue to hold up the sky. Be there.
Hello there, my name is Bolare, CEO of EIB Network, and I'm inviting you to the National Theatre. It's the biggest women empowerment summit, the Obasima Summit, and I want to see you there. 4 p.m. at the National Theatre, and I'd like to rally support for this great program. Congratulations to the organizers, Yes, you've come a very long way and we're proud of you.
It's time to join us at the National Theatre on the 9th of June 2023 for the biggest annual celebration of women on the theme, The Future Can Be Different.
It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027 430 9099. 027 430 9099.
Hey ladies! Ladies, come let's continue to hold up the sky. Be there.
My name is Joyce Bawa Mukhtari. I am a lawyer and special aide to former President John Dramani Mahama. I have for the last few years been a patron of the Obasima project. Indeed, as its name suggests, it actually speaks to its founder, an awesome, distinguished Obasima herself, who thought of this fantastic idea to promote ideas that actually nurture the girl child or women generally. Indeed, as a woman very passionate about the rights of the girl child and females generally, I have always participated actively in the Obasima project. First and foremost, as a citizen of Ghana, as a woman who cares about what happens to the woman or the girl child, and above all because I agree with Amma that something ought to be done to shape the cause of women generally in Ghana. So on my behalf, I invite all of you to join us where we will be bringing the curtains down on months of activities leading up to culmination of the Obasima Summit. So certainly a fantastic opportunity for you to learn, for you to engage, for you to meet equally awesome female leaders. An experience like no other. It is absolutely free of charge.
It's time to join us at the National Theatre on the 9th of June 2023 for the biggest annual celebration of women on the theme, The Future Can Be Different.
It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027 430 9099. 027 430 9099.
Hey ladies! Ladies, come let's continue to hold up the sky. Be there.
I'm Kojo Yankson, and I love women. That's why I'm going to be at the Obasima Summit in Accra, so I can be a part of the conversation about how women are changing the world. I'll see you there at 6 p.m.
It's time to join us at the National Theatre on the 9th of June 2023 for the biggest annual celebration of women on the theme, The Future Can Be Different.
It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027 430 9099. 027 430 9099.
Hey ladies! Ladies, come let's continue to hold up the sky. Be there.
Hi, my name is Pagamile Shubi Majola, and I'm the national spokesperson for the largest trade union in South Africa, the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa. I can't wait to rub shoulders and interact and engage with all of the amazing young people and all their ideas, and for us to actually map the future and to debate and discuss how the future can be different. That's the theme for this year's Obasima conference. I look forward to it, and I hope to see you there.
It's time to join us at the National Theatre on the 9th of June 2023 for the biggest annual celebration of women on the theme, The Future Can Be Different.
It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027 430 9099. 027 430 9099.
Hey ladies! Ladies, come, let's continue to hold up the sky. Be there.
As women achieve power, the barriers will fall. As society sees what women can do, as women see what women can do, there'll be more women out there doing things, and we'll all be better off for it. Ladies, it's time for the biggest annual celebration of women. Join us for the 4th edition of the most prestigious Women Empowerment Summit in Ghana. Theme, The Future Can Be Different. Date, Friday, the 9th of June 2023. Venue, National Theatre. Speaking as change makers, Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency. Honorable Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins, Member of Parliament for the Klote Kole constituency. Sami Ewuku, Director General of the National Lottery Authority. Na Ashoko, Media Personality. Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah, Minister of Information. Tracy Owusu Ado, CEO of Brave Consult Ghana. Portia Gabo, Broadcast Journalist, TV3. Jifatega, Deputy National Women's Organizer, NDC. Araba Kumsin, Broadcast Journalist, Joy News. Hayford Siao, CEO, Ghana Library Authority. Kate Ado, PRO, Parliament of Ghana. Judith Kato Anderson, CEO, 2927 Restaurant and Event Center. Inspirational speakers, Honorable Shelley Ayokobotre, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Yao Nsako, Executive Vice President, Unilever Ghana and Nigeria. And all the way from South Africa, Pakameli Hlibi Majola, spokesperson of the National Union of Metal Workers, South Africa. It's free. To book a seat, call us on 027 430 9099. 027 430 9099. Ladies, come, let's continue to hold up the sky. Be there.
African. Truly.
It's Monday, June 5, 2023. Good afternoon and welcome to Pan-African Television News on Pan-African TV. We are live number 48, Swanika Street, Abelimpe, Accra, Ghana. Live on Facebook at Pan-African Television and across 46 African countries. And some parts of you coming up in this afternoon's bulletin. Former President John Dramani Mahama assures Ghanaians of better governance if elected into power. Also coming up, school feeding program. Minister says school feeding caterers to be paid this week. Also coming up, Zoom Lion calls for the establishment of more recycling plants. We have details of these and more, including stories from our international partners, the People's Dispatch, business and lifestyle, coming up in the next 1 hour to stay. This is Pan African Television News. Thank you for choosing to stay with us. We are live on Facebook at Pan African Television and across 46 African countries and some parts of Europe. I am Ivy Abnadidi Nakite. The news in detail. Former President John Dramani Mahama has assured Ghanaians of better governance and progressive country if elected president come 2024. Now, in his speech at the 44th June 4th anniversary, the 2024 flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress further advised Ghanaians against tribal politics come 2024. He further called for unity to help obtain a sustainable and realistic economic devoid of hardship by the NDC.
To end the suffering of our people and enable us to begin resetting our nation. It will be no easy task as we face an incumbent that is hell-bent on maintaining the status quo so that they can continue to better their circumstances and amass undeserved wealth at the expense of the Ghanaian people. We are responsible for organizing and letting our message of hope reach everyone across the length and breadth of our land, that the dark days will last only for a moment more, and that a new dawn is lurking on the horizon. And that when that new dawn breaks, the governmental rot, the economic hardships, and the insensitivity to the plight of the people, and the offensive corruption and waste of the people's resources will be a thing of the past. To the millions of young Ghanaians out there for whom affording 1 meal a day is a very serious challenge, and for whom leaving this country in droves, even at the peril of their lives, is a preferred option. To the thousands of business people whose businesses face ruin because of the gross mismanagement of this economy, I urge you not to despair. There is hope on the horizon. I look forward with hope that the day is coming when a new paradigm shift is going to occur. Your help would, however, be required in order to achieve this endeavor. Do not allow those who have made life difficult for you all these years to mislead you with hollow sloganeering and shallow populism. Please do not allow them to convince you that you must vote for them in